And we're live, back again to talk about French fries, shrimp, the Suez Canal.
Oh.
What? No, none of these subjects.
Suez Canal recently. Isn't there a ship stuck in the Suez Canal right now?
Yes, there's a ship
Is that what we're talking about?
No. Nope. Not talking about that today. We're not going to talk about shrimps found in your cereal.
Kiki, you spelled buttoon in the...
Buttoon. I hit the go buttoon.
Oh my god, I love it. Buttoon.
I need to get rid of this light right here so that I can have a better white balance.
Are we live? Is that
I'm
what's happening?
orange. Yes, we are live, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of This Week in Science. We are here to talk about science, and this is the live recording of, the TWIS podcast. Oh, I think I just broke
Good thing we got all the cursing out in the preamble.
I think my desk just unplugged itself. That's what happened. We're here live to start the show. We're recording the podcast. This stuff is not in the podcast. There may be other stuff that's not in the podcast.
None of this is usable.
None of this is usable material. This is just the prequel to the podcast, which we shall record. What do you say? In just a moment? Like, it's about that time, yeah?
Remember when we used to go live, right when we went live? Remember when we would start, we did this before we went on the air, and then we would hit the air with the actual
Yeah, but
show.
You know what happened, Justin, is the lovely people recording our audio would miss the first 10 seconds of the show every single time.
Pretty much.
And sometimes 10 minutes in, they'd be like, oh, so-and-so, you're crackling, or your levels are way higher than somebody else. So this is, our lovely minions are testing our equipment for us before we start.
So now we're waiting for people to show up. We're waiting for the house to fill in. People are still getting their seats in my balcony here.
Getting themselves situated. Do you have a snack? Do you have something to drink?
What? No. Now you're sending. See, now they're all heading to go get refreshments instead of enjoying the show.
Tramps from the Suez Canal.
Okay, keep it down.
See, they can take us with them.
Close the doors off.
Because this isn't like a real lobby that they're gonna get. They can take the phone.
No, it's just my kitchen, which is even worse. They're just gonna go raid my fridge while I'm doing the show and can't do anything about it. It's fine. It's fine.
It is fine.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting there. We are getting there eventually. And
get my last yawn out. That's the
I'm
last
ready to go
one.
sleep now. Okay,
God,
we're doing it now. Okay, ready?
Drink a cup of coffee or something before the show.
Okay, we're going to start this show in 3, 2. This is TWIS. This Week in Science, episode number March. No. Start that right over again. In 3, 2. This is TWIS. This Week in Science, episode number 817, recorded on Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. Let's talk about science. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Kiki, and tonight on the show we are going to fill your head with archaic talk, poop talk, and memories. Okay, but first...
Disclaimer. America is getting back to normal. Nowhere is that more clear than with the recent mass shooting in Colorado. Since there are tens of millions more guns than people in the United States, I thought we might start the show off with a few fun gun facts. 1, there are around 70 million more guns than people in the United States. About a third of Americans own a gun, which means gun-owning Americans are really into owning guns. In 2018, 73% of homicides were committed with firearms, according to the FBI, and about 600,000 violent crimes were committed with a gun being present. While the majority of Americans support stricter gun laws, according to Pew Research folks in a 2019 poll, at 60%. That number is highest among women at 64%, who, fun fact, are 3 times more likely to be murdered with a gun by an intimate partner than by a perfect stranger. That is also reflected in a 2019 study by the American Journal of Preventive Medicine that shows states with the highest gun ownership had 64.6% increased incidence rate of domestic firearm homicide when compared to states with the least. And yes, gun control reduces deaths. Yes, they do. If you don't agree with that, it's not because we have differing opinions, it's because you are wrong and have not looked into it. I'm not going to go through every single state, but I will take you to Guns and Ammo's 2020 Best States for Gun Ownership. That's Guns and Ammo's annual ranking of gun-friendly states. The top 5 friendly states: Arizona, Idaho, Alaska, Kansas, and Oklahoma, who had a combined average per 100,000 residents of 17.2 deaths by firearm in 2019, according to the CDC. And the worst gun-friendly states that they listed, New York, Hawaii, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and California, had a combined average of 4.6 deaths. So, your chances of death by firearm are nearly 4 times higher in gun-friendly states. Thank you, Guns and Ammo, who reminds us that guns don't kill people, it's the bullets that do that, but what good is one without the other? Texas and Florida didn't make the top friendly list. Maybe that's because they only have 12.7 deaths per capita, which is still higher than the national average, and 4 times the rate of the least friendly state of New York City, the state of New York, at 3.9. The end of the day, the gun conversation won't go away, and shows like this that have nothing to do with guns will be forced to talk about it until meaningful reforms are put in place. And then we can once again focus on the important things like This Week in Science, coming up next.
I've got the kind of mind that can't get enough. I want to learn everything. I want to fill it all up with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I want to know what's happening, what's happening, what's happening this week in science. What's happening, what's happening, what's happening this week in science.
Good science to you, Kiki and Blair.
And a good science to you too, Justin, Blair, and everyone out there. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Science. We are back on our regular Wednesday slot, right in the middle of the week, taking you through the week, getting you over the hump, using science to keep it going. Yes, we've got the energy, we've got the science behind us. All right, everyone, what do we have in store for us today? Well, I have got some vaccines. A vaccine. I've also got some water stories and some brain stories for the end of the show. Justin, what did you bring?
Justin's muted.
Muted. What do I have? So I didn't bring... Oh, no, I did bring stories. Oh, thank goodness. A little bit of research into whether or not unions are a good idea to have for labor stuff. There's a very potentially big change in the story of Denisovans. At least a very interesting indication there that something odd is going on. There's something maybe taking Toxoplasma gondii off the hook for some of the ailments that have been attributed to it.
Wow.
Possibly. As well as Grubhub. Is apparently like 3,000 years old.
What?
Yeah.
Delivery.
People have been getting food deliveries for a while.
Did they charge insane delivery fees then too?
Probably.
It's like, all right, here's $30 in food. That'll be $65.
3,000 years ago, it would have been more like, that'll be 10 sheep, please.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. A whole extra sheep for delivery? This is ridiculous.
Actually, you know what? Okay, I'm not going to give away the whole story.
Don't give it away. We're going to talk about it later.
Sorry, but you're probably right because it happens in a bronze mine.
All right. Now I'm more curious. Blair,
Yes.
tell us about the animal corner.
Oh, just a little sprinkling of fish poop over here. Got some honeybee wings over here. And then I got some baby bonobos just to put on top of that little
Oh, it's like a
recipe.
Wednesday Sunday.
Yeah, well, I guess the baby bonobo would be the base. And then you'd sprinkle it with the fish poop and the bee wings. But it's
Honey
fine.
wings,
We'll figure it out.
All right, honeybees and fairy dust all over the place. And bonobos in the mix. Okay, we have so many great stories popping off for you tonight. Nope, wait, can't dive into it yet because first I need to tell you that if you're not yet subscribed, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, on Facebook. You can find us on Twitch at TWIS Science. We are also all places that podcasts are found because you know what? This is a podcast. Subscribe and get us weekly. And you can get to our website at twis.org where all of our show notes are found. Oh, so many good things. But now it's time for the science.
Yes.
All right. So let's dive in. I have got a story to wet your whistle. Well, because this Monday was World Water Day. Water is very important.
Ooh.
As Blair takes a sip of water.
Yes, water. Yes.
Water. All right, so a couple of studies this week are out. One in Nature, looking into the complex movements of global ocean currents. And they've discovered and published in Nature that in the summertime, there are increases in upper ocean stratification and mixed layer depth. So what that means is that there's more layers being layered, and the stuff that's cold that is really nutritious because that's where everything drops to when it all dies, that stuff is not getting mixed enough. Things aren't mixing the right way. But the end take-home message of this study is that the ocean dynamics are calming down and that they have been on a trend of less mixing, more stratification, the dynamics that make the ocean and our climate sustainable are on a downward trend. So, not good news. This works in their words, this work calls for reconsideration of the drivers of ongoing shifts in marine primary production and reveals stark changes in the world's upper ocean over the past 5 decades. So primary production, very important. Primary production is those are the microbes. These are the small organisms that lead to oxygen production that we depend on. This is the food sources for other life in the oceans, for birds, for so many of the things that we depend upon. And then the second study that goes right in line with that was published in the Journal of Experimental Biology this week and was about copepods, little tiny crustaceans in the ocean that apparently if we were to total the mass of all the copepods in the ocean, it would be the equivalent of 1 trillion human beings. Massive. I had no idea copepods were so prolific, and they are very important. Those primary producers. They are involved in definitely the ocean food web, and they play a huge role in global ocean cycles, also freshwater cycles as well. Researchers say that many organisms breathing oxygen, eating phytoplankton, and producing waste is a major driver in how the ocean carbon cycle works. Despite their tiny individual size, they have a huge impact on the ecosystem. And then what they actually discovered in the study, though, is a huge question about their ecology that researchers have been trying to discover for a very long time. What makes them congregate copepods come together and congregate in these little clumps in the water, these little groupings. And the question is, what led them to come together? How did they come together? And apparently, based on this study, they synthesized, in the lab created these little tiny, like an inch in diameter, little tiny vortices in the water. And they discovered that the copepods are attracted to the forces of these vortices, these spinning tiny whirlpools on the surface of the water. So the aggregation of copepods in what the researcher calls a well-mixed homogeneous ocean depends on these vortices. They aggregate around them, and previous research using mathematical models suggested these processes could explain a whole bunch of phenomena of ocean life, why different things mix and why organisms behave certain ways. But the researchers go on to say people use this kind of concept to explain a lot about how ocean processes work, but nobody's ever really seen it. And you couldn't really study them because it's just, they come and go into existence. They're transient, they're tiny, and they just exist. They pop into existence, and the copepods love them. And so now they're making them in the laboratory so they can study more about these little copepods. But how are the vortices going to be affected by these larger oceanic trends? And I think that putting the large and the small scale together is where this really starts to get interesting.
Well, the changing ocean temperatures move currents around, and of course that's going to change all sorts of fluid dynamics, and there's going to be all sorts of changes there. The other thing that's really cool about copepods is they're made up of these like little plates, right? And so you can actually look through just an insane amount of time in evolutionary history and in geologic history. If you do ocean cores, you can see very, very old samples of copepods, and you can see how they changed in shape and structure over time with the pH of the ocean. So that's the other thing that happens with copepods is they're affected by ocean acidification, and you can see how their little plates move around. It's very cool.
That is really cool. Yeah. So copepods may be very indicative of ocean health and definitely worth understanding why they behave a certain way and how changes to ocean cycles could affect those behaviors.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Justin, what you got there?
Okay, I got unions fighting for benefits of workers was once a very commonplace thing in America. They've been on the decline in the public or the private sector, I guess, for years, mainly due to the sort of sustained anti-union corporate political campaign that has stripped unions of much of their power. They also tend to lose power whenever economies dip or whenever we have a series of offshoring events for manufacturing that's been taking place over there. So they've been sort of beaten up by a lot of things. Despite that, polls showed that majority of Americans still support the idea of having unions. This has reduced, the loss of them has reduced collective bargaining to the lowest level we've ever had, or at least since the 1950s, I guess, and has allowed wages to stagnate for the majority of the working class. The main argument against unionized labor has traditionally been that unions, aside from being made up of communists who threaten national security with strikes, they also hinder economic growth. They reduce economic growth in an area. Which is interesting because the height of the mid-50s, it was more than a third of American workers were part of some form of a union, and the economy was booming at the time. So, and I don't really recall a raiding of the Capitol by the Red Pinko Army of American workers.
That just sounds like more trickle-down economics theory, right?
Right.
You have to give the people at the top money. You can't deprive them of money by paying people in the middle and the bottom well. Because then you'll never see it. Actually, it's the other way around. Those people will spend it pretty much immediately.
Well, yeah, and that's and actually not necessarily. So if we're talking about the working class that had unions, they could actually save money, own homes, own
That's
automobiles
spending money,
outright.
buying a home.
It's spend money, but they wouldn't have to
You mean
spend all of
driving
it.
the economy?
Nowadays, they spend all of it, and the economy doesn't grow. Anyway, Okay, this is according to Cornell University, though. According to Cornell University, are unions good for the economy? Yes. Yes, they are. Union-friendly states enjoy higher economic growth and greater individual earnings. They win on both fronts. Paper assembled bodies of all counties throughout the United States and found labor returns, that's how much money people earn from work, are highest in states with higher unionization and lower in states where government legislation has been crafted to be anti-union or in corporate interest or seem to limit people's ability to join unions. Mildred Warner, professor of city and regional planning at Cornell University, shows that states with laws designed to hinder union activity have not enhanced the economic productivity of their states. We find that where state policy is captured by corporate interests, this undermines inclusive growth, Warner says. These interests see union and city power even. So even laws that local government, state governments are making against cities from having power over work laws. Interests see union and city power as a threat, which is why there are groups focused on crafting state laws that erode labor protections and enhance corporate interest. So it's a long-standing sort of movement that is anti-union in much of the country, especially in the South, which is sort of interesting because in the South it sort of made sense economically at one point to kind of be anti-union because they were that was the first outsourcing location in the United States. Big union areas that had these worker protection laws and labor laws moved a lot of their companies to the South because they could get people to work very cheaply and didn't have regulations. And then eventually they found somebody else who could do it cheaper and they left the South. So the fact that they're still anti-union in the South is still kind of ridiculous because it didn't protect their jobs either. But anyway, yeah, they found basically that thing that, it's one of those tropes you hear that unions reduce the effectiveness of growth and they stagnate growth and they do all these terrible. It's actually not true. States in the United States that are heavily unionized or more unionized, the most unionized, have the most growth and the most earnings. States that are anti-union and have enacted anti-union legislation have the least growth and the least earnings. There it is.
Seems pretty straightforward.
I can tell you I was in a union. I wasn't in a union. I was in a union. And when I wasn't in a union, the banks were making a lot of money off of me because I was pretty much only paying interest on all my credit cards.
Yeah.
It's the thing that's rough about not being in a union is if you're in the middle, then the people at the bottom get bumped up with minimum wage increases,
and you don't move at all.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not a big fan of minimum wage. I think you have to handle the housing issue before you do a minimum wage. Otherwise, all of that money just goes to housing increases because they just go up faster. But I will say, I find it very hard to hold in my head the idea that somebody could be anti-union and pro-corporate at the same time. Because ultimately, what a corporation is a bunch of people working together for a common good of the company. And the union is just a company of labor that's doing the same thing. I'm not against corporations having, a bunch of people work together to make the company better and more profitable. Fine. How can you be for that and at the same time against labor unions doing that with the other part of the company?
It's all in the spin. It's all in who the money is being made for.
Well, it is. And that's who has the voice. And there's the laws that have been passed. I think it's Taft-Hartley that made it difficult for unions to give money to political campaigns. Yet corporations now have unlimited ability. So there's a problem that needs to get fixed, and the direction that our country went is obviously not working.
Understatement.
Might
be understatement.
Won't be the last one tonight.
No,
So
won't. There will be more.
Understatement of the century or even the night, because there could be more.
That's another understatement. Blair,
Yes.
what's your next story?
Oh, I just want to talk about fish poop and
Don't we all?
corals.
Okay.
So corals, they're having a tough go. As we know, they're bleaching. The water's getting hotter. People's sunscreen are covering them up. Ships are scraping on them. People are dredging. There's lots going on with corals, and they're in trouble, right? We know this. But one of the things that has been perceived as a threat to corals as well are coral predators, because we talk all the time about multiple stressors, right? If you're an animal or a plant or anything that's alive, you can take a certain number of stressors, but at a certain point, it's too many. So even though a predator might be a natural stressor, if you add it on top of other things, it could be problematic, right? So like this is one of the things that coral reefs, also having coral predators, there was a concern there that that's going to be extra stress on corals that are already struggling to survive. And corals are the backbone of the ocean in a lot of ways. They're creating oxygen for everything living in it, and us also. Hello. But anyway, the coral predators, Rice University marine biologists wanted to look at the coral predators and how they impact the corals. So bottom line is they found that the coral predators' poop was actually beneficial to coral. They were jam-packed with living symbiotic algae that the corals use for survival. They had the zooxanthellae in the poop, which, of course, I'm reading this and I'm going, well, yeah, duh, they were eating the
coral, right? So you have the fish eating the coral, getting the zooxanthellae, then pooping them back out again and fertilizing the coral with the same.
Yes. So I think the thing that's especially interesting is that it's still alive and able to seed the coral. So it makes it through their digestive system, and there's this opportunity to reseed the coral. So the kind of wild thing here is this thing that's eating and attacking the corals is actually potentially helping to keep them alive. And of course, if they bleach, then fish poop could then provide a new culture of algae for the coral. So having coral predators around when they bleach could also be beneficial. Another question of how do baby corals that settle on the reef floor get their original kind of seed of algae? We don't know. This could be how, just fish poop. And so these fish might be kind of pollinating all these different coral reefs. Because at first, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, they're eating the coral, they're pooping the zooxanthellae back out. Oh, how nice of them. Great, thanks, I'll take that back now. Are you done with it? But it's more than that. They could be pollinating and affecting the overall kind of the microorganism, the microbiome of the corals.
Yeah.
So it's how do the microorganisms originally get there? And how do they kind of pollinate around the ocean? How is this all connected? And so this definitely just raises more questions. But ultimately, this is a very... You know what else it reminded me of, too? Is my sourdough starter. I just made another loaf of sourdough today. But what do I do before I make sourdough?
You split?
I feed it. Yeah. And then I let it sit for a day. And then I pour some out. And then a week later, I feed it again. So it's almost like it's seeding itself. Like these coral predators are running around eating all this coral and then pooping out the symbionts, and then like it's a self-sustaining thing. It's like a mother doe.
It is.
So
the mother coral.
Yeah. Which then, like, where did the first symbiotic algae come from? Did it come from fish poop, or did it come from coral before the fish ate? Which came first? Did the predatory fish come after or before? So yeah,
it's really tough to tell with a lot of also with a lot of parasites that have just an insane life cycle that requires two other living creatures to facilitate it. At this point, there's no going back. There's no changing strategies. You're not just symbiotic. You're just stuck. I mean, you were really locked in. But at some point, it was probably just a little path of least resistance. Oh, this worked. Oh, this is easy. Oh, hey, look at this. I can work with this too. And then over time, you specialize to be even better at it.
Yep.
Yeah. So predatory fish are part of the picture of healthy coral. There you go.
Coral predatory. I mean, I wouldn't think of them as predatory, but yes.
Well, they're alive. They're
alive.
Coral are animals.
Totally.
They're not like grazing. They move around. They go, don't get me.
From now on, I'm going to think of deer wandering the glade, predating the plants.
Yeah, well, that would only work if the grass went, whoop.
I know. Yeah, maybe. Okay. All right. Well, if only we could do the same thing with brain cancer. If only just hide it away, get the brain cells, make them okay. Well, what if we could vaccinate people against brain cancer?
What?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Gliomas, astrocytomas, brain cancers are known to be some of the most devastating, deadly cancers. And to be able to treat them would be just amazing. Researchers in Germany have just completed these are at Heidelberg University Hospital, have just completed the first trial. This is a clinical trial, 33 newly diagnosed glioma patients for a specific peptide vaccine that is a peptide against a single mutation that is common among all of these brain spreading, dispersed and spreading brain cancers. The researchers found that in these 33 patients at different centers in Germany, not controlled, so this is just a first trial to see how well it was tolerated and whether or not there was something worth doing further study on. Several years ago, they had discovered this mutation, and the peptide created a synthetic peptide and used it successfully in mice. That led to this study now in human patients, and the researchers found in 93% of the patients, the immune system showed a specific response to the vaccine peptide, regardless of the genetic background. They also discovered 3 years later, the survival rate was 84% in the fully vaccinated patients. 63% of patients' tumor growth had not progressed during the 3-year period. And a total of 82% had no tumor progression within the 3-year period. And this is among the patients whose immune system showed a specific response to the vaccines. So this will lead to a further placebo-controlled study to actually be able to draw conclusions. But these data are very promising in that there are, just in Germany alone, over 5,000 people diagnosed every year. 1,200 are diffuse gliomas with this specific mutation. That's just in Germany, 1,200 people who could potentially be helped by a vaccine, a peptide vaccine.
That is awesome.
Give me all the shots.
Right? Yeah, so I mean, a normal genotype without the mutation, you're not going to need this shot. But if you, and this is where this study is interesting, is that these are newly diagnosed patients. So these are people who, they know they have the mutation, they've been diagnosed with the brain tumor, they had a large percentage of reduced growth, stopped growth, and survival within the vaccinated group. So, I don't know, it's interesting. Very interesting. And if you could, at some point, catch people before they're diagnosed based on the genetic mutation, then that potentially would be much more interesting and could stave off the issues that come with simply being diagnosed. You know, get rid of the period leading up to diagnosis even. knowing that a lot of this does run in families, but mutations do pop up. So I don't know. Genotyping? Is this lead in that direction? You get yourself genotyped every once in a while, once a year. Get your blood type. Get your hormone levels. Genotype. It's all good. Oops, got a mutation.
Take all
got
of my blood. Is it modern
vaccines
medicine?
in its place?
Modern medicine? I will take it. Give me it all. Give me it all.
Yeah, I thought this one was pretty exciting. Yeah. Got another story, Justin?
Yeah. So this is a quote from a research associate from the University of Adelaide, Dr. Joao Teixeira. Whichever way you choose to look at it, exciting times lie ahead in paleoanthropology. Teixeira is a lead author on a paper from an international group of researchers. They did a comprehensive genetic analysis focused on detecting signatures that might suggest interbreeding from deeply divergent species known from the fossil record of the area of Island Southwest Asia. Island Southwest Asia comprises, this is the tropical island area between mainland East Asia and Taiwan in the northwestern part down through Australia and New Guinea. It's out into, I think, even the Philippines as part of this. Archaic humans in that region they are referring to are Homo erectus, Homo floresiensis, that's the Hobbit, Homo luzonensis, which we haven't talked about luzonensis much here on the show yet. They're from the Philippines, but that's another short-statured hominin, kind of like the Hobbit, but has very different morphologies than the Hobbit or Homo erectus. So it's another mystery hominin. Homo floresiensis and Homo luzonensis are known to have survived till approximately 50 to 60,000 years ago. Homo erectus maybe 108,000 years ago, which means to some extent they may have overlapped with the arrival of modern humans into that region. The results of the study showed no evidence of interbreeding.
Wait, what?
They did, yeah,
You
no
said
evidence.
none.
No result. No result. There
Okay.
it is. The researchers did, however, find further evidence of our mysterious ancestor, cousin, ancient, somewhat ancestor-ish cousin, side, fellow, shared ancestor, whatever.
Yeah.
The Denisovans. And in fact, they think it could be mean that there's a major discovery that's going to come from this region because there was a lot of Denisovan DNA. Teixeira says, in contrast with our other cousins, the Neanderthals, which have an extensive fossil record in Europe, Denisovans are known almost solely from the DNA record. The only physical evidence we have of them has been a finger bone and some other fragments found in a cave in Siberia. More recently, a piece of jaw found on the Tibetan plateau. This is like pretty far from where they're finding this really big hit of Denisovan ancestry in populations.
Yeah.
We know from our own genetic records that Denisovans mixed with modern humans who came out of Africa 50 to 60,000 years ago, both in Asia and as the modern humans moved through island Southeast Asia on their way to Australia. The levels of Denisovan DNA in contemporary populations indicate that significant interbreeding happened in island Southeast Asia. The mystery then remains, why haven't they found any remains? They have not found a fossil alongside other ancient humans in the region. And so they're questioning whether or not they need to re-examine the existing fossil record in that area to consider if they have other possibilities that they're finding other than what they've accounted them for. So they want to look over all the fossils that have come out of that region and make sure they haven't just been missing Denisovan in plain sight. Co-author Chris Stringer of the National History Museum in London adds, while the known fossils of Homo erectus, Homo floresiensis, Homo luzonensis might seem to be in the right place in time to represent the mysterious southern Denisovans, their ancestors were likely to have been in island Southeast Asia at least 700,000 years ago. I mean, we found hobbits that old. So that doesn't seem to jive with the timeline of Denisovans and Neanderthals. having sort of coexisted for a long period of time in sort of Eastern Europe, Northern Siberia type regions.
Right.
Co-author Chris Helgen, chief scientist and director of the Australian Museum Research Institute, said, "This research also illuminates a pattern of megafaunal survival, which coincides with known areas of pre-modern human occupation in this part of the world. Large animals that survive today in the region include the Komodo dragon, the Babirusa, some sort of a
pig boy.
with, it's like a pig with, it says upturned tusks,
Yeah.
and the Tamara, and a Anous, which is a small wild buffalo? No idea. This hints at long-term exposure to hunting pressures by ancient humans might have facilitated survival of the megafaunal species in the subsequent contacts with more modern humans. The idea being, if there were hominins there for 700,000 years, the megafauna that survived also learned to stay away from humans. Whereas when people got to places like Australia and New Guinea, they didn't have hominins running around there and weren't at all afraid of humans 50,000 years ago, and this became extinct. Dr. Teixeira goes on, this research corroborates previous studies that Denisovans were an island in Southeast Asia, and that modern humans did not interbreed with more divergent human groups in the region. But this opens two equally exciting possibilities. Either a major discovery is on the way, or we need to reevaluate the current fossil record of island Southeast Asia. One of the things I also thought was sort of interesting is, like, I'm not sure how, do we have Homo florensis DNA? I don't think that we do. Oh, I'd like to answer this question.
If we have bones, wouldn't we potentially have DNA? I mean, if they're potentially. Yeah.
But I'm going to have to
Someone in the chat room, John Morano, brings up that humans burned corpses in that part of the world. So maybe these humanoids did as well. But I'm just thinking about how hot fires have to be to burn bone and get rid of bone. To completely get rid of bone. Yeah, there's usually bone left over.
And it might just be, it's humid, it's warm, it's the wrong place to try to be preserving
stuff,
human bones. You want cold and dry to be there the longest.
It's moist.
It's very moist. It's very moist area. But the idea is that we I'm not sure how well we understand the morphology of the Denisovans. I'm not sure we really know what we're looking for quite yet. We have a finger bone and a bit of a mandible, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
I trust the science and I trust the scientists, but it never ceases to baffle me how a finger bone
is a whole
be an entire species.
Yeah.
Because they did get DNA from it. They did get DNA from that finger, which is they thought was going to be Neanderthal and just wasn't. Just really wasn't.
That brings up the question then, how many fossils are Denisovan but been misidentified? How many fossils are sitting in a drawer somewhere, sitting in a box in a basement in a university or a museum, either not even identified yet or misidentified? And, there's a treasure trove that has not yet been discovered somewhere, potentially.
I know that they're working for a completely different reason. For specifically for like fish and game and customs detectives, they're working on what is basically a rapid DNA scanner. So that if somebody says like, oh, no, these cowboy boots are cow, they could be like, oh, really? Beep, says it's sea turtle. You're going to jail. So they could do that, right? That's the idea behind this rapid DNA scanner. And so it would be great to just take one of those down into a museum basement. Just beep, 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 beep. Just check everything is the DNA that they said it was.
Yeah, the bone won't have it, but but I think there might be an easier way. I mean, the bone might have. You might be able to drill in. There might be some preserved DNA somewhere in there. I don't know if this quick scanner will work. But I think one thing they could do is look at the teeth.
Yep.
There's this where it was considered an Asian phenom to have an occasional three-rooted molar. This sort of weird, and it turns out that's a Denisovan trait. This was also in the Denisovan mandible. So they now think that So yeah, you got to start looking at teeth and see if that's a thing. Going like if these showed up in some sort of other archaic humans, you might want to look there. Yeah. There's a few, but my question I was getting at though is I wonder if just because we found a couple finger bone, like the finger bone, and first found it in Siberia, in an Altai cave, and so now that's where they are, and so they spread everywhere else. Well, maybe not. Maybe actually they were already there, and then these are some of the far-flung travelers coming the other direction, which raises a bunch of questions. But it's now starting to beg the question of, did they grow up side by side with Neanderthals, split for a little while in different pockets and then of isolation and recombine? Or did they take a completely different path?
I think this is the interesting question, right? How did the stream braid? We know it's a braided stream, but how did it braid? Was it like a fishtail? Was it like French braid?
So this reminds me of another thing with animals, which is a ring species. I want to say we've talked about this on the show before, but this is my favorite example of ring species is the California tiger salamander. So basically from like far northern California, like like Healdsburg, Mendocino County sort of area, all the way down to like well past the Central Valley, there are tiger salamanders. But if you take one from the top and you take one from the bottom of the range, they cannot interbreed. But if you take ones in neighboring areas, they can. All the way up. So they are all these subspecies. They're only subspecies because they can interbreed. But if you take them from different ends, they're so far different. If you just looked at those two, you'd think they were distinct species because they can't interbreed, right? What if hominids are a ring species?
Yeah, could be.
I love that. And yeah, wow. Yes, why not? Yes, little tribes moving and potentially slightly differentiating over time because of the time it takes to move and get to different places. That's, fascinating. Love it, Blair. Maybe. I like it. I think that's a fascinating idea. I don't see why not. But still, braided stream. But speaking of archaic humans...
Yeah. Oh, no.
No. There's a whole lot of people who are alive today who believe archaic ideas, don't like to learn about new ideas, like to believe things that aren't necessarily true. They like misinformation, potentially. Researchers publishing in Nature this week with a paper that's called Vaccination Strategies Against COVID-19 and the Diffusion of Anti-Vaccination Views, modeled different strategies of vaccination and also different strategies of information spread, with the idea that information and misinformation spread easily. And when people are exposed to misinformation, they're likely to believe it if it's from a trusted source. And so there's a probability of misinformation spread, like at anti-vaccine views, that can spread and have negative effects on the overall population. Their results show that even if anti-vaccine narratives have a small persuasiveness, just very tiny, not very many people actually get convinced, but a large part of the population gets exposed to them rapidly. It's kind of like the virus itself. If individuals, this is their assumption, that individuals are equally likely to adopt anti-vaccine views, which I think is a questionable assumption because I don't think people are equally likely, but they're assuming this. After they've been exposed, they have what's called a central nodes network. And in a central node network, there are individuals who are more highly connected than others. They're like the hub of a wheel. And these central nodes are more exposed to these views than other people. And so based on their modeling, they suggest that informed and very specific communication campaigns can be used and targeted toward these central node individuals to potentially reduce the amount of spread of the anti-vaccine misinformed views. So it's a really interesting mixing of a variety of models here, communication models and also viral spread models, vaccine hesitancy, and various views and how they come to be. But it's a really interesting idea that picking the people who will likely have the most impact on other people because of how well connected they are to inform them may be a really valuable strategy to get informed views to spread faster than misinformation.
Yeah.
What you don't want to do is let someone who has a lot to gain from misinformation get a hold of this paper.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's go for all the hubs. We're going.
Well, but that's sort of already what they're doing.
That's what they're doing. Yeah.
That's what they're doing. And part of the thing is, if you're offering somebody who's positioned a platform of followers, for instance, if an anti-vaxxer came to me and it's like, Justin, I know you're very influential in your audience in This Week in Science. I would like you to start talking anti-vax stuff. I'm like, one, I would lose my audience, most importantly, because I don't want to lose you. You're all I have. And two, they go hike. Like, go away. Like, I don't believe you, obviously. That's why I'm doing this. So you would be reaching out to the people who have the most to lose of their network, of who that they've gathered around to influence.
Yeah.
And why they look to them as an influence, as a reinforcing the thing that they want you to think is the thing you want somebody to say so that you can believe it out loud. Yeah, that's an uphill. I don't know.
It's a little uphill. Kevin Unique in the chat room is saying society defines the trusted source. We have institutions we establish to be focused on a subject and not on the whim of an idiot. And the CDC is one example of that. And so we have trusted institutional sources where information can come from. And they can also, we can also use those sources to be able to go the opposite direction, find the trusted hubs. Like, what are the communities that we want to address? Who are the people that we need to talk to have that influence?
Yeah,
and how can we talk to them? You know, how can we start to have those conversations? And
I don't think you do anymore. I think you do exactly what Facebook and Twitter started doing and just ban them. It's not a free speech thing. When it comes to public health, it's the equivalent of yelling fire in a crowded movie theater.
But see, that's a broad strokes. Like, we're talking about social media, we're talking about these very public forums. But what I'm talking about is finding ways to approach these individuals, not necessarily, or maybe approach them on social media, but have conversations that are less public. Find ways to have conversations that are more personal, that they are not combative from the start because they are immediately in the combat arena, right? It's like there are some people who go to social media because they're going to do combat. They have their view and they're going to profess it out there. Yeah. You're not going to have a conversation there, but you have to find a way to get around that.
I think the other kind of piece that I feel like is I don't know, is being glossed over, but I think it's kind of speaking to what you were saying of like, you can't assume that everyone is as easily influenced as everyone else. I think it also really matters what they hear first, because the whole essence of confirmation bias, and that also that's how, you know, we're talking about something separate from social media, but a lot of the time people get their initial impressions from social media, and social media kind of feeds off of that confirmation bias, and the algorithm works on that. So I think it also really depends what they hear first. And you can get through some of the nonsense, but it's kind of like digging a hole with a spoon. It's
kind of like taking one of those little ships and trying to dig that ship that's in the Suez Canal out of its predicament.
Right.
Wait, there's a ship stuck in the Suez Canal?
Call Lassie. What?
Oh, yeah. No, I do
Flipper.
feel like
Flipper's really the right animal sidekick for that job. Come on.
It is. We should. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Except we need a freshwater flipper. Sorry,
But
go ahead, Blair.
I'm not trying to brag at all, but I will say that I have convinced.
Wait, dolphins don't care. Hang on. Dolphins don't care. Saltwater, freshwater. Dolphins don't care. They're good in a lake. They're
Let
fine.
Blair talk. Come on.
I think I have convinced 5 people to take the vaccine who had read something online that said that like it was going to make them infertile or that it wasn't tested enough or any sort of thing that was there was a shock value to it. It was hard to get past, and it didn't take one conversation. It took like 10.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I mean by like, you know, digging a hole with a spoon is that it's possible, but it takes time and effort much more if they've had that initial touch point of the misinformation.
It really is it's relationship based. It's trust based. It is this, where is the information coming from? Sometimes it's
world of influencers.
Yeah, it's influence. I'm thinking about this whole situation and how we reach out and talk to people about different things. And yeah, it's hard. We've gotten into this, you know, everybody's got an opinion, hot take. It's always got to have an opinion. You want to go viral in a good way, I guess. You want to be that shrimp tail in a cereal box.
Wait, what?
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
So everybody wanted to go viral, and then there was a pandemic because of social media, and that led to people eating shrimp cereal? What are you guys talking about?
That's for the after show.
After show social media conversation. Yeah, but we can all influence the people around us to a small degree. Repetition of just seeing things and how it affects us unconsciously, and our own confirmation bias is going to be very heavily at play. But those long-term, persistent conversations can really, you can dig your way out of jail after a while with a plastic spoon with that spork.
Yeah, almost every conversation I've had with somebody about gun control reflects what I was talking about in the disclaimer of this show. All claim that California has more deaths than any other state, even though they have the strongest gun laws. And technically that used to be true because we have the most people.
Right.
But one of the lowest rates per capita. Texas actually has less population but overtook us in number of deaths, and the rate has always been higher. And they go, oh, what about New Hampshire? They have like no gun laws and the lowest gun death. They actually don't. They're not the least gun law, and they're not the least death. They're actually up towards they're around the middle, but they're still up much further above than any of the states that have good gun laws. And they're right next to Massachusetts, which has the lowest gun deaths and the highest restriction. You have to have a license that says I've been trained. I know how to use this, and I will keep it somewhere safe. I promise. And I took a class and I got registered. They have the lowest. They have gun control. They have proper thought out, So, but every time I've had that conversation, I don't know where this source is, but New Hampshire and Texas is lower than California come up every single time. And it's been wrong for as far back as I can track CDC data. It's always been wrong. Yeah. But I always get same. Yeah.
Some nodes at work.
Texas and New Hampshire, and I was
Where did the source come from? Mm-hmm.
No, I was playing along. I was like, I never actually looked up the CDC firearms death per capita. So you saying Texas and New Hampshire are lower than California, even though I have less restrictions? I always play it. Yeah, okay. Well, let's look it up. I wonder if we can see that. But, wow! You're absolutely wrong by like magnitudes. How is that possible?
Similarly to the gun deaths and gun laws, if we are able to get more people to get vaccinated, fewer lives will be lost. It'll be better for everyone overall. So, hey, just thinking about that. This is This Week in Science. Thank you for joining us for another episode, another Wednesday evening, or maybe it's Thursday, or maybe it's Saturday for you. But hi, thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate the fact that you're here with us today. If you want extra time with TWIS, and some friends of ours, that's right, Daily Tech News Show, we are having a crossover event. Wah, 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 wah. The TWIS, DTNS, crossover, science and technology. It's like peanut butter and chocolate. It's like all the best things ever. It's like the Oreo cookie crunch with that white filling. It's just amazing. It's going to be so fabulous. April 17th. Put it on your calendars, 4 p.m. Pacific time. That's right, 4 p.m. Pacific time, April 17th. TWIS DTNS crossover. And what do we want people to do, Blair?
Oh, we want them to send us ideas for what to talk about. So what is like a nice crossover of you got tech in my science or you got science in my tech? And email it to us, tweet it to us, send it in a, whisper it to a butterfly and send it on its way. Just get us that information, and of course, listen at the end for all of our contact info. But yeah.
Thank you for listening. All right, this week in science is ready. Oh, we're ready right now to turn it over to that special time in the show that lulls us into a sense of happiness and wonder for the natural world. It's Blair's Animal Corner.
She loves our creatures, great and small. Biped, millipede, no pet at all. If you want to hear about animals, she's your girl. Except for giant pandas and squirrels. There's Animal Corner.
With Blair. What you
I
got,
have
Blair?
2 really fun stories tonight. They're not scary. They're not sad. They're just fun.
Okay.
So, and I'm not being sarcastic. That's just actually true. So you're welcome, everyone.
Yay!
So first, I have a lovely story about honeybees and how they find and talk to their queen throughout a colony. So this is a team of researchers from the US, Japan, Germany, and the Netherlands, and they work together to report how honeybees communicate throughout the hive. They used observational and machine learning techniques to discover how they had this communication. So prior research showed honeybees form coherent swarms. Great, that tracks. That also means that the members of the swarm must have some sort of mechanism for keeping track of what's going on, who's doing what, where the good stuff is, all that good stuff, right?
Where is the good stuff?
Where's the good stuff? Where's the good? Research has also suggested that the queen is the hub of this activity. She's a lot of the time giving down edicts of what to do and when to do it. Thus, other bees would somehow need to communicate with the queen, who's at the center of the hive. They might be outside. So they did actual observations on 6,600 bees. They noted activities that would require some sort of communication. They observed the bees using high-speed cameras and then replaying the video. So that sounds like a very fun job for some intern, right? Also, they taught a machine learning algorithm to recognize certain behaviors in the swarm and then used its processing power to analyze the behavior around that behavior, I guess, is the best way to put that. So basically, they're just like, computer, figure out if these things are linked. So what they found was...
Computer.
How do bees?
Exactly.
And
Oh,
computer
my goodness.
said...
Figure it out. What did the computer say?
They use fanning behaviors with their wings to push pheromones toward other bees. So the ones closest to the queen are like, oh yes, this pheromone is telling me to go out and pollinate. Okay, let me just pass that down. And they fan that down.
From the queen!
Message from the queen!
Pollinate!
It with your wings?
What else were we going to do? For bees.
Yeah. And so then they also found that they actually had a means for synchronizing their behavior so they could fan this pheromone throughout the colony.
So everybody then is affected by it, and everybody's like, yes!
They were essentially doing the wave. So they one bee would blow the pheromones to the next, who would then blow it to the next, and then to the next, so that everybody got the message. And the result is a hive-wide communications network with the queen serving as the central hub. And I might imagine that the game of telephone, this one is more accurate than the one between the boss to the manager to the supervisor to the part-time employee. It's probably not as good. So anyway, this synchronized wafting, very effective. This is a landmark example of collective behavior. That's what they call it. The communication network allows the swarm to remain coherent. And this happens even as older members die or are killed and new members join. So they don't have to worry about the whole node thing. Everybody's just wafting information throughout the colony. So there you go.
I like the idea that there could be a miscommunication, though. What's that?
Like,
the queen says we all need to punctuate. Punctuate? Apparently we haven't been punctuating.
Do what the queen says.
Proper punctuation. Okay, here we go.
I will waft it.
Where's the shoots and leaves booklet? Where's that?
Yes,
thing?
exactly.
I haven't heard from the queen lately. Have you? No.
Yeah. So bees, they're doing the wave to communicate with one another. I love that. But yes, it is something that I think will kind of trickle down into other research that we do in any pheromone-based kind of social structure. Like, do they do this in naked mole rats because they don't have wings? How do they do it?
Or what about termites that where they have wings for part of their life cycle, but not the whole life cycle, and it's during their mating? The mating season when they have their wings. Maybe they're
interesting
observation.
Yeah. Good one.
Way to apply the science to the thing and to find another thing to study already.
Things.
That's why she's the doctor.
Follow what Kiki says. If you're looking for that thesis, you're an entomologist and you haven't quite figured out what am I going to study. Hey, this is perfect. This has got PhD written all over it.
Yeah.
It does, really.
So next we're going to move on to a heartwarming story from bonobos. Oh, bonobos, they're too precious. They're just too good for us. We don't deserve them. So scientists have, for the first time, twice witnessed bonobo apes adopting infants in no way related to them. Not from the same social group, not related. So, first, this might sound like not that interesting because humans do this all the time. We adopt completely unrelated babies. But let me just ask, why? Why do we do that? And I'm sure that you could say, like, oh, well, you want a family. Okay. But why? Biologically, why? Because from what we understand about biology, we should only want to give such intense parental care to something that benefits our genetics or our social group or something. But in these bonobos, they are adopting animals from different social groups, pulling them into this new social group and caring for them. Let me explain a little more because you might have some ideas.
So it's like Angelina Jolie.
Right.
And her adoptions.
I'm going straight to it's a matriarchal society.
Okay.
Right.
Sure.
Yes.
However, in a matriarchal society, would you really want to care for an infant, especially if you've already done it before? Would you want to do it again if there was no benefit to you? So this is just the question, right? Okay,
but
so
there might be hidden benefits of being a mom in bonobo society that we're overlooking.
Possible. Definitely possible. So what they saw here was twice. They saw bonobos in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Central Africa adopt these unrelated bonobos from completely different social groups. So the research was led by Kyoto University in Japan, and they observed a number of bonobo groups over several years. They actually, let me find the number. They have been observing these guys for decades, since the 1970s. They've been observing this social group. So they know each member of this social group intimately. And so they've even named them, and they know their whole family history, which is really beneficial here because they know exactly who's related to whom and what their history before this was. So Chio, who was between 52 and 57 years old, who they're pretty sure is postmenopausal, was seen to adopt a 3-year-old Ruby who had been part of another unknown group. Okay, so first you're thinking, okay, great, so she can't have a baby, so there could be something there. But the other one was an 18-year-old bonobo, Marie, who also adopted a baby that was 2.5 years old after that baby's mother disappeared. And again, this was all in a neighboring group, not one of their groups. Both of these animals had had babies in the past. And they had, they looked to check if there were any family connections to the adopted infants. None. They checked to see if there was a social connection between the mothers of these babies. None. And so they carried, groomed, nursed, shared food with, and also allowed suckling from both babies. And obviously one of them was postmenopausal, so nothing was coming from that. It was probably just a comfort.
Right. And it's not like the situations where mother animals have lost a child and are in mourning and want to replace the child that they lost. And, we have these odd situations where you'll see cross species. Suddenly a tiger will have a monkey baby and you're like, what's going on there? Oh, it's a mother tiger lost its infant and something's going on there.
Yeah. There's all sorts of crazy hormones telling you you should have a baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So those hormones go on. So postmenopausal, that's different completely. Yes. The hormone profile is going to be totally different.
Totally. Yes. And so, again, adoption in wild animals has been observed many, 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 many times, but they're always either related to the infants or they will adopt an orphan because they have not had their own baby yet and they're basically just honing skills. It's like a practice baby. So that helps increase future survival chances of their own offspring in the future. That's not the case here. So, usually you can find some way to easily explain away the mother's interest related to self-interest or pre-existing social relationships. And so this is complete cross-group adoption, and it potentially helps explain adoption among humans because those same benefits aren't seen there. And so there's some sort of selfless concern for others or an emotional desire to offer care who doesn't have care. There's something special happening here. Most likely. Again, Justin did say there might be some sort of benefit that we're not seeing. But, I feel like since these researchers had spent 50 years with these animals, I'm pretty sure if their social ranking changed as a result of this, that would have been included, right? So I think that probably is not part of it. But yeah, this is the first time in non-human primates that it has been observed where there's been adoption that has no connection to the mothers.
And I might add,
it won't be the last.
The second time as well.
The first and the second. Yeah, you're right. So yes, adoption is a costly behavior in these animals and in humans. It is very costly. So there is something to be said for like, what is the evolutionary advantage here? Or are you as a human just ignoring all of the chemical signals your body is telling you?
Maybe we are at a point where we are ignoring a lot of the chemical signals that our bodies are giving us. Maybe
it's possible.
And maybe there's a point where decisions are made where it's not chemical signals. Maybe it is something, when it comes down to it, it is chemical and neural signals at a certain level. But I find it very interesting.
Well, and I just like it because
the fact that it's
so often we see chimpanzee traits that we're like, and it's the warring, nasty behavior that chimpanzees have, and we see ourselves in that. It's just nice sometimes to see ourselves in sweet, peaceful, loving bonobos, and I really like that.
I think it's great. And like you said, there's a now that gives an evolutionary perspective to this behavior that we engage in as humans.
Yeah.
Not that we understand it anymore, but it's been around a lot longer than we probably thought.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like it. Thank you for the heartwarming. I like
course.
that. We need this. We need this warm heart right now. And here at This Week in Science, we need you. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for joining us once again. And thank you to those of you who support us on Patreon. It's your support that allows us to keep broadcasting week after week and to do this show. We do need your support. So if you are able to, head over to patreon.com/thisweekinscience. Or just go to twis.org, click on that Patreon link, and then choose your level of support. The level of support, $10 and over a month. You'll get thanked by name at the end of the show, if that's what you like. If not, I won't. We'll still keep trying to do the show, and we'll keep doing all this stuff, but it really is helpful to have your support. Click on that Patreon link. We really can't do this without you. Thank you for your support. This is This Week in Science. Justin, tell me a story.
Okay, so researchers have been looking at the connections between different types of infection and neuropsychiatric disease for some time. This is quoting Dr. Aaron Lashnitz, faculty member, University of Wisconsin, first author of the study. Specifically, there has been research suggesting that cat ownership is associated with schizophrenia. So there is.
I think you've reported on that.
Yeah, this is the parasite Toxoplasma gondii. Quoting some more, but to date, there's been no conclusive evidence to support a causative role for this parasite, other than the fact that it does make it through the blood-brain barrier and does all kinds of other weird stuff that supposedly is attributed to it. It's all correlational, I guess.
Anecdotal.
So we decided to look at another cat-associated infectious agent, bartonella, to see if there could be a connection. So this pilot study being an initial study, like a small-scale version of the study, is out of North Carolina State University, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. They found evidence of bartonella infection in the blood of people with schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder. So bartonella is a bacteria historically associated with the cat scratch disease. I think we've talked about that a little bit before on the show, which until recently was thought to be a solely short-lived sort of an infection. Cats can become infected with bartonella via exposure to fleas and potentially ticks, which are natural vectors of the bacteria. Cats are host to at least 3 known bartonella species. This is more Cody voice. This time it's of one of the co-authors, Flavio Froelich, Associate Professor of Psychiatry at UNC School of Medicine. While there is emerging understanding of neuropsychiatric illnesses such as schizophrenia as disorders of brain networks, the question about actual causes remains unanswered. It was an exciting opportunity for us at UNC Department of Psychiatry to team up with leading experts on bartonella to pursue this innovative idea of a potential link to schizophrenia. To our knowledge, this is the very first work that examines the potential role of bartonella and schizophrenia. It can't be because we've reported on this before unless we were reporting on other stuff that they had looked at. Research team enrolled a group of 17 people with stable medically managed schizophrenia or psychoaffective disorder and a control group of 13 healthy adults. Very small sample study, to be sure. But again, pilot study. This is the initial look. All participants filled out questionnaires on severity of symptoms, potential bartonella exposure. Blood samples were taken from participants twice in a 1-week period. The samples were cultured in growth medium as whole blood samples and underwent qPCR and droplet digital or ddPCR testing at 7, 14, 21-day intervals. They looked for evidence of bartonella organism-specific DNA, plus blood samples were also tested for bartonella species-specific antibodies. So this is a very deep look. They didn't just put it through a scanner that said yay or nay. Of the 17 patients with schizophrenia, 12 had bartonella DNA in their blood. Of the 13 in the control group, only 1. According to the questionnaires, both patients and controls reported similar pet ownership exposures. So the qPCR, or the ddPCR, was a very new thing that they added to this look, according to Dr. Ed Breitschwert, Melanie S. Steele, Distinguished Professor of Internal Medicine at NC State. There's another co-author of the study. If we had not used ddPCR to test this cohort of individuals, we would not have found bartonella DNA in any of the participants, either case or control. So this is something that's not just nobody looked at, it's they might have looked at it and not found it because the technology wasn't readily available to the researchers who were looking before. It's important to remember that our study is by design not able to demonstrate the causal link even between bartonella infection and schizophrenia, Froelich says. However, we believe this initial observational study strongly supports the need for follow-up research. Yeah. So, it's correlative, researched correlative, pretty strong signal.
Pretty strong pilot study
with a very small sample size. So, of course, the next step is bigger, broader, deeper dive into this information. But again, it looks like one thing we have narrowed it down to is cats. That's much we can agree on. It's cats are the problem. Now it's why are cats the problem is the thing that has to get sort of sussed out.
Still don't scoop kitty litter if you're pregnant, I think.
Yeah.
Or
use it as a reason to take a break.
Yeah.
The kitty poop.
So that one's still legit. Okay, so the baby, hang on, let's back that up. The baby blindness effects of Toxoplasma gondii is contracted by pregnant women still leads to baby blindness. That's not disputed.
Yeah, Tox is
at all
not
in
off
this.
the hook completely.
Toxoplasma gondii isn't off the hook for any of the nasty, but they are saying that the schizophrenia associated with cat ownership isn't
it's not
just because,
toxo, it's bartonella. Maybe
isn't just because people with schizophrenia relate better to cats, and it might not be the Toxoplasma gondii. It might be because of this bacteria as another vector, another dangerous disease vector that you get
poop
from living with what should be a wild animal.
Oh, cat poop.
If only we got our cats leash trained and could take them outside to go to the bathroom the way that dog owners do with their dogs.
That'd be great.
Then
but
it
then,
would be a
what's the
different
point of a cat
situation.
then? Just get a dog.
Yeah.
Isn't that the whole thing about
fair
cats?
Enough. Especially an indoor cat that
you don't have to
cuddles
do
and
anything?
doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. Indoor cat. Tell us another story, Justin.
Okay, so this is the food delivery from a 3,000-year-old site in the Eastern Alps of Austria. This was a Bronze Age copper mine. I think I called it did I call it a bronze mine before? It's a Bronze Age copper mine.
Okay, yes.
Bronze Age copper mining site. They were thought to have just been a bunch of craftspeople and miners that worked in this mine and then also manufactured goods from the mine. And one of the things they discovered was that they had a lot of food remains, but no evidence anywhere of any processed after, like no chafes, of wheat, no husks, no shells of things, no tools that would be used for the processing of materials. And so the results is they found these Bronze Age mining sites were getting food deliveries that were being processed somewhere else, other farmlands and more distant sources than that. They found the further study on plant remains and cooking tools there. Found, just like anything else, like today, there was a food delivery network 3,000 years ago that was functioning. They didn't grow food on site. They didn't process it. They didn't get like raw any ingredients.
They didn't have flours
and then mill them. No.
Yeah.
They had flour delivered. They had they almost had pre-cooked meals. Like, you take this in this water, you just cook it like this.
It's like,
Little
hey, I'd like my
instructions
Blue
on the
Apron
burlap
delivery. Bringing my meals in.
TWIS is not sponsored by Blue Apron.
It is not. could be, though, but it's not.
Well, so we could do one of those things, though, where we secretly are saying, which is why I keep saying Grubhub. I'm just going to say Grubhub again. I mean, I don't know what the other ones are, but I've always been happy.
We're not sponsored by Grubhub either.
I've never used Grubhub by that. But that's how the influencing works on the interwebs now. It's no longer advertising. You get money by just happen to casually mention product placements. Basically, what the old school term was, just product placement in a thing.
We did not make up this story about Bronze Age copper miners getting food deliveries so we could talk about food services. No, indeed.
As a long time alcoholic, indeed. Hey, that's where I go whenever I'm looking for a new job, which is more often than you might think. Thank you, indeed.
Oh, jeez.
It's a long time
That was
alcoholic.
quick.
I don't care. It's a long time alcoholic. I don't care what I drink, as long as it's in a red cup. Because when you drink from a red cup, you know you've got company.
We're not sponsored by Red Cups. We're not. Nope. Oh, amazing, though, that they were able to find these, like, leftovers of millet and other crops that are, that were
They found all the remnants, and then somebody put it together, like, where'd it come from? Evidence of farming. There's no evidence of milling. There's no evidence of any of the things that we would normally attribute to a site where this food is being processed and prepared to be eaten. Where is it?
Delivery. It was delivered. Processed food delivered 3,000 years ago. At least in the pandemic, we're not in a copper mine. No.
I don't know. I feel like, wasn't copper, like, I don't know how it works with viruses, but I know it's, like, naturally antibacterial.
Antibacterial, it's true.
I don't know if it works with viruses, but, yeah.
Bacteria works pretty well. That's right.
It's supposedly good if you have surfaces of copper everywhere, because they don't. But then on the other hand,
stick to it.
But there is, what is the thing? Is it Alzheimer's? That prolonged exposure to copper, or, like, very heavy exposure to copper can I think it's Alzheimer's.
Yeah,
it has been associated with this. So there's always down.
There's a little tickling of a memory there for me in my brain.
Too much copper.
Too much
tickling. Copper cookware.
Copper tickling in my brain.
Copper may worsen Alzheimer's risk. There you go.
Yep. There you go. Good memory there. But what if your memories were false?
Oh, shit.
How?
It's like when you tell a lie so many times that it becomes true in your brain.
Yeah, you're just like, that's the way it is. That's what happened. You just tell a story a certain way. It gets repackaged in your brain, reformatted over time to remember it in a false way. This is a problem with witnesses on the witness stand. False memories are a big problem for witness testimony. It's also really interesting. I'm watching things happen with my son, who obviously does not remember being a year or 2 years old, but we have a digital picture frame where he sees pictures of himself all the time as this little creature. And he's like, remember that time when we went this place and we did that? And he has a whole story, a memory that he's built. And I'm like, yep. But nope, that's wrong. You didn't get that right. Nope, you're not exactly right. You made up you have a whole memory about this. How do you remember? Or he'll tell me a story about a picture he's not even in. I'm like, oh, okay, you have a whole memory about this. All right, that's not your memory. All right. Researchers decided to look into how easy it would be to erase false memories. So what did they do? They got volunteers. And then they got their parents to help them devise false memories. So they got parental buy-in to find out, okay, so what memories were true? And then how can we twist a memory around and create something like, you got lost, or you ran away, or were involved in some kind of accident or something. Completely false memory. And over several sessions, they implanted false memories into these individuals' heads. 52 people. They found that 40%, so it's not a large majority, it's not a majority, but 40% of the individuals actually had false memories. They came to believe these false memories were true. And they would repeat them and they would recall them and come up with all the information related to them. Not true at all. And so then the researchers used 2 strategies to try and erase these false memories. And one of the strategies was to take the individuals and get them to remember the source of the events. So they were asked about the source. Where did you hear about this? Where did that picture come from? Do you know about this individual that told you this thing? Like they were asked to recall and revisit the memories themselves. And so in another strategy, they told the subjects that, hey, did you know that if you're asked to recall things, a lot of times that it can cause a false memory? Did you know that if you recall something enough times, it might not be true, it might be false? And so they got the individuals to revisit their memory with this idea of it could be false now in their heads. And the researcher said that they designed their techniques so that they could principally be applied in real-world situations by empowering people to stay closer to their own truth rather than rely on other sources. They showed they could help them realize what might be false or misremembered. And by raising participants' awareness of the possibility of false memories, urging them to critically reflect on their recollections and strengthening their trust in their own perspectives, they were able to significantly reduce the false memories. And it didn't change their ability to remember true events.
I was about to ask about that.
That's the
that
important
you can't
part.
kind of suggest that something that's, because that would be really bad, right? Especially when you think about people on the witness stand. If you can just kind of like convince them something that happened didn't happen, that would be so bad. But
No, you can though. That has happened.
yeah, but I guess the different method. This method didn't work for that. So
Yeah.
if you're really on the side of good,
I was sitting around
Whose side are you on anyway?
I was sitting around a pool, and there was this family, and one of the youngest members of this family was this 4-year-old, and we were talking about memory, and somebody asked one of the aunts asked the kid, like, what's your oldest memory? And he goes, well, from when I was in my mommy's tummy. And I'm like, oh, okay. What was that like? And the kid went, boom, 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 boom. And everybody just jaw dropped. Like, that child might actually remember what it was like.
you probably saw
Wow.
a movie where there was something about a baby in the womb, and that's what
Right?
he heard or something.
Yeah,
Maybe, but
there's
this
influence.
was one of the most articulate young children, like very quickly on. Like he had pretty high functioning brain.
I thought
And it
this
wasn't-
story was about you, Justin.
No, not me. Not me. My oldest memory is McKinley Park, downtown Sacramento, going up to a drinking fountain and a little girl standing there like she's waiting, and I looked up and she threw a handful of sand in my face. And then the world went black, and that was my earliest memory. I think I was 3.
Oh, I'm laughing because it's sad.
So funny! So funny! That's why you're laughing.
Oh, jeez. Your earliest memory. Oh,
That's
my
why I
goodness.
close my eyes at drinking fountains. Ever since.
Yes, you should.
And then one day I opened them, and they were all gone.
I find the memory, this aspect of memory and what we remember being true or not true. And we were talking earlier about our the bias that we have as individuals and what we want to believe. And there's another study that was also out this week about kids' perceptions of things, and it discusses just how one negative statement from an adult or a trusted individual that might have just even been in passing can influence a child's
for years, decades.
Can absolutely influence a child's perspective. And so they're all we talk about little pitchers with big ears. These kids soak stuff in, they're sponges, they absorb things, and those memories form the basis of who they are. And sometimes things they can't really implicitly recall or explicitly recall. It's implicit.
Yeah. I think it took my son a decade to overcome not wanting to talk about the sun. Like 4 or 5 years old, he heard that 4 billion years the sun is going to explode and evaporate.
Kai was so upset about that.
No concept of what 4 billion.
Anxiety.
Yeah. So Sebastian had
We're
the
all
same
going
thing.
to die. I'm like, no, it's like 10 billion years away.
Yeah. Well, it's closer than that. It's much closer. It's way closer than that. It's like 4 billion, though. It's just still far enough away to. But
we'll go with 10.
It just took a really long time for to feel comfortable about talking about the sun exploding again.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to talk about the sun exploding? I want to talk about brain cells dividing and expanding. Why are human brains so much bigger than our nearest relatives? Why are our brains bigger than bonobos and chimpanzees? Why do we have more brain cells? It's not just the size of our bodies. It's not that brain to body size proportions. Researchers grew brain organoids, clumps of brain cells in a dish. And in earlier studies, they had discovered that mouse brain cells, they start out in a kind of like a tube, but from these cells, they arrange into a tube-like shape. And this tube-like shape whittles itself down into a more conical shape. And that once it's conical, it doesn't divide anymore. It doesn't produce as many brain cells anymore. So the cells stop dividing the more conical this structure becomes. The more like an ice cream cone it looks like, the fewer brain cells will divide. So these neural progenitor cells, these brain stem cells that turn into the brain, they got them for gorillas, chimpanzees, and humans. And they grew them in dishes, little brain clumps in dishes. And they determined that over about 5 days, gorilla and chimpanzee brains make that shift from the tube to the cone, and they stop dividing. However, human progenitor cells took 7 days. So more brain cells were formed, and the tube shape, the cylinder shape lasted longer in the human early brain than in these other relatives. And so it's this difference in speed, and really just 2 additional days of developmental time when you're talking about the exponential division of cells can really be responsible for that massive difference in the overall number of brain cells, which is about three times bigger in humans than it is in gorillas or chimpanzees.
Yeah, but we also have it's some weird thing. Like we have like 3 times the brain cells, the capacity is bigger, 3 times, 4 times, whatever it is. But the amount of blood flow that is going
we have
into the
more
brain
blood flow.
is something like 600. It's like it's a phenomenally bigger number that is moving through to feed the thing.
Right, but there has to be more blood to support more tissue. So which came first? The the fish poop or the coral, the brain size or the blood. The researchers didn't look at blood. They decided to look at genes, and they found a gene that is called ZEB2. Zeb's dead, baby. Zeb's dead. ZEB2 turns on earlier in gorilla organoids than in the human organoids. And then they delayed the effect of the ZEB2 in gorilla cells. They delayed it so it would start later. And what ended up happening is the gorilla organoids developed slower and larger, and so ended up being closer to human when they slowed down ZEB2. So turning this gene on in humans makes human cells act more like, can you guess it? Gorillas and chimpanzees. Yeah.
I was just doing some really quick math because I'm really curious now. So gorilla gestation is about 257 days and chimpanzee gestation is about 237 days. Not too different from us. So I had to do my math and we're at about 280 days. It's our 40 weeks, right? So it's a little bit longer. I was just kind of curious because, you know, pregnant humans are so they wouldn't survive in the wild at the end there, right? Like,
Right. They did.
They did, but I don't know. Because also human babies are especially helpless and they grow very slowly and all this kind of stuff. I was kind of wondering if some of that has to do with brain development.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the first thing that a human baby has to overcome is the fact that most of their body is skull cap under that skull. They're mostly head. Most of their weight is right there. And so just overcoming gravity with that giant thing that you need to do all the looking around, boom, it's very limiting as far as just running about. And I think it is the opening at the back of the skull that allowed larger blood flow did come before the larger brain case. So I think it was getting getting that energy source might have come before the brain.
Might have, but there still had to be these genetic changes to take place. And so there's this gene that they've discovered now that is potentially one of the pieces involved in the timing of the development that influences the way the human brain grows and how large it can become as a result. Yeah.
I'm glad then if that's just the case, I'm glad it didn't get stuck at a size larger than the skull, because that would have been problematic. So it's lucky.
Now you end up with a supervillain.
Oh yes. Don't like supervillains. Love the supervillains. Don't like the supervillains. Oh, love-hate relationship with the supervillains. This has been a super Wednesday of science, though. I have gotten through all of my stories for the week. Are we done here? Did we do it?
I think we did it.
We made it through. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of This Week in Science. Hey, if you have any questions for us about anything, comments, send us a note. You can message us on Facebook or email me or Justin or Blair. We have our emails coming up in just a moment as we close out the show. Oh, it's time to say thank you to all of you for watching us. Thank you to my wonderful co-hosts for doing this great show. Another week, another show. Thanks for spending time with me and talking science. Thank you to Fada for helping with social media and with show notes on YouTube. Thank you, Gord, for manning the chat rooms. Thank you, Identity4, for recording the show. And thank you, Rachel, for your assistance with notes and ideas. I love it.
Who's Rachel?
And what?
Who is Rachel again?
Yeah, we have to have a meeting so you can all meet Rachel. Rachel's awesome.
I know, it's just...
She's great. She's Rachel. She's out there, Rachel.
Just sort of like one of those dreams where like people who you definitely never met show up and they're like, yeah, of course you know me. You've known me forever. I'm your uncle, and that's your wife who you've also never seen before. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess so. It seems plausible because in dreams, who can argue? But so when you're saying this, Rachel, I'm like, is that a thing that really is? There's really a Rachel.
She really exists. She is really Rachel.
She's not like a memory
hearing
worm.
This and going, Justin, I do exist.
She's not like one of those memory worms that parasites that gets in there and makes you believe that you know people who don't exist.
Or is
Not a
she?
false memory. Is she a false memory?
Or is she?
Or is she? We may never know.
No.
Oh! I also
Where are we
need
at?
to say thank you to everyone who has helped make this show possible. Thank you to all of our Patreon sponsors. Thank you to Karen Tozzi, Woody MS, Andre Bissett, Chris Wozniak, Dave Bunn, Vegard Chefstad, Hal Snyder, Donathan Stiles, a.k.a. Don Stylo, John Scioli, Guillaume, John Lee, Ali Coffin, Gaurav Sharma, Sue Shubru, Darwin Hannon, Donald Mundis, Stephen Albron, Daryl Myshak, Stu Pollock, Andrew Swanson, Fredis104, Skyluke, Paul Ronovich, Kevin Reardon, Noodles, Jack, Brian Carrington, Matt Base, Joshua Fury, Sean and Nina Lamb, John McKee, Greg Riley, Mark Hessenflow, Gene Tellier, Steve Leisman, a.k.a. Zima, Ken Hayes, Howard Tan, Christopher Rappin, Dana Pearson, Richard, Brendan Minish, Johnny Gridley, Kevin Railsback, Flying Out, Christopher Dreyer, Mark Mazzaros, RDM, Greg Briggs, John Atwood, Robert Coburn, Rudy Garcia, Dave Wilkinson, Rodney Lewis, Paul, Rick Ramus, Matt Sutter, Philip Shane, Kurt Larson, Craig Landon, Mountain Sloth, Jim Drapeau, Sarah Chavis, Sue Doster, Jason Olds, Dave Neighbor, Eric Knapp, E.O., Kevin Parachan, Aaron Luthen, Steve DeBell, Bob Calder, Marjorie, Paul Stanton, Paul Disney, Patrick Pecoraro, Tony Steele, Ulysses Atkins, Brian Condren, and Jason Roberts. Thank you for all of your support on Patreon. And if you are interested in supporting us on Patreon, you can head over to twis.org and click on that Patreon link. Want to let you know, remember, mark your calendars, April 17th, 4 p.m. Pacific time, TWIS times DTNS crossover! Wah, 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 wah. Oh, and on next week's show...
Oh.
Yes, on next week's show, we will be speaking with Michelle Nijhuis about her beloved Beasts book, subtitled Fighting for Life in an Age of Extinction. It's a conservation book. So, Blair, I hope you're all over this interview.
Yeah, I started looking at it today because I thought the interview was today.
Next Wednesday.
I read the pages that are available on Google Books.
Fantastic. But we'll be back.
Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, broadcasting live from our YouTube and Facebook channels and from twis.org/live.
That's right. Do you want to listen to us as a podcast? Maybe feed your mother dough while you listen. Just search for This Week in Science wherever podcasts are found. If you enjoyed the show, you can get your friends to subscribe as well.
For more information on anything you've heard here today, show notes and links to stories will be available on our website, www.twis.org, and you can also sign up for a newsletter.
You can also contact us directly. Email Kirsten at thisweekinscience.com, Justin at twistminion@gmail.com, or Blair at blairbaz@twis.org. Just be sure to put TWIS, TWIS, in the subject line, or your email, it'll turn into a false memory.
No!
I believe that.
I know. Did I send
swear
that
I got
email or
an
did I not
email.
send that email? I don't even remember.
If you don't remember, you can simply reach out to us on Twitter, where we are at TWIS Science, at Dr. Kiki, at JacksonFly, and at Blair's Menagerie. We love your feedback. If there's a topic you'd like us to cover or address, a suggestion for an interview, a haiku that comes to the night, please let us know.
We'll be back here next week, and we hope you'll join us again for more great science news.
And if you learned anything from the show, remember,
It's all in your head.
This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science, it's the end of the world. So I'm setting up shop, got my banner unfurled. It says the scientist is in, I'm gonna sell my advice. Show them how to stop the robots with a simple device. I'll reverse global warming with a wave of my hand. And all it'll cost you is a couple of grand. 'Cause this week's science is coming your way. So everybody listen to what I say. I use the scientific method for all that it's worth. And I'll broadcast my opinion all over the earth. 'Cause it's This Week in Science.
This Week in Science.
This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science.
This week in science. Science. I've got one disclaimer, and it shouldn't be news, that what I say may not represent your views, but I've done the calculations and I've got a plan. If you listen to the science, you may just yet understand that we're not trying to threaten your philosophy. We're just trying to save the world from jeopardy. And this week in science is coming your way. So everybody listen to everything we say. And if you use our method instead of rolling a die, we may rid the world of toxoplasma gondii. Cause it's this week in science. This week in science. This week in science. Science. This week in science. This week in science. This week in science. Science. Got a laundry list of items I want to address, from stopping global hunger to dredging Loch Ness. I'm trying to promote more rational thought, and I'll try to answer any question you've got. But how can I ever see the changes I seek when I can only set up shop 1 hour a week? This week in science is coming your way. You better just listen to what we say, and if you've learned anything from the words that we've said, then please just remember it's all in your head. Cause it's this week in science. This week in science. This week in science. Science. This week in science. This week in science. This week in science. Science. This week in 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 science.
How is everybody? Oh, after show.
I just made an impulse purchase during the outro.
What?
So here's what happened.
Just shopping?
Okay. No, here's specifically what happened. Okay.
Yeah, explain.
So
What's going
we were
on?
talking about the brains, and we were talking about the brain being bigger than the brain case and all this stuff. And then let me see if I can screen share this. See if I can get some good. Yeah. Okay. So I was specifically thinking about.
Identity 4 says impulse buying is the best buying.
Okay. So I was specifically thinking about.
Oh, let me share you. Yeah, what have you done here?
The
Bernie?
villains from. Is what?
Is that Bernie? What is
Bernie,
going on there?
where? Over here? No.
Oh, the tick. Okay.
This is,
yes.
Yes. So I was thinking about the tick. I was specifically thinking about this
I
guy.
don't know what I saw first. Yes. That
Brainchild. And so then I was like, oh, Chairface Chippendale. He was so good.
Guy.
So then I was thinking about
Chairface.
him. And then I was going down a whole rabbit hole with that.
The tick was the best cartoon ever.
Yes. So
Yeah.
at one point when I was in college, I owned a DVD set that I bought on eBay that was somebody who had like VHS taped the Fox Kids airings and transferred it from a VHS to a DVD. That was the only way to get it, right? So like that
You're
was
so
how
funny. You're so funny. I actually watched it on television when it was broadcast the first time.
No, I that's how I actually consumed it. Was I watched it on TV when it was on the first time. But when I was in college, I was getting
When you were
nostalgic,
like,
right?
what, 7?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. No, I was just looking up what years did it air?
I was in college when it was airing. It
Let's
was
see.
the 90s.
Oh yeah,
early
94.
90s.
So I was 8. You were correct. So I was 8 to 10 years old when the chick was on, and I watched it when it was on originally.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I I jumped through all these hoops to get it. And somehow
That's
in the
good.
million moves
So
I've
glad.
done since college, I lost these ripped DVDs that had the like tracking through the center, that like had the Fox Kid logos jumping around, and had like the beginnings of commercials that were taped off and stuff. So like I lost those, and I haven't watched the show in forever. And I was like, the internet's better than it used to be. Stuff's like more available than it used to. And I just checked. It's still not widely distributed, but I found a sealed in-box complete series of The Tick on Etsy on Blu-ray. And so I just bought that. So that's what I
Well
just bought.
done.
So that'll happen during the outro.
Exactly, Stephen Rain. Spoon.
Spoon, exactly.
I was-
Still one of my favorite Sega Genesis games I've ever played, by the way, is
I was in one of the greatest concept movies ever. And it had amazing
Encino Man?
It had an amazing cast. I wasn't Encino Man. But always as an extra. There's somebody in the background doing stuff. But
See, I
this
remember.
one I was working as a production coordinator on as well. Timothy Leary is in this movie. I think it's Adam Horvitz, one of the Beastie Boys, is in the movie. It has this sort of
Leary.
Daphne Zenegas, Princess Lulu from Spaceballs.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Melrose Place is in this movie. And it has a whole bunch of, how many Sky, if anybody remembers, like a whole bunch of the sort of B up-and-coming-ish actors in LA in the early 90s. All in this
Love
movie.
it.
Cannot find this movie.
You don't know what it's called?
It's called Cityscapes. You can find the IMDb on it, but
It doesn't exist.
There's nowhere to get this movie, and I think it might have run into
find it.
some
That's
sort
a
of legal
challenge.
trouble. I think it might have fallen into some kind of legal.
Cityscapes, Los Angeles, 1996.
Yeah, Max Perlich is it? If anybody knows who that is. Great movie. It's basically the idea is, I think he gets a package delivered to the wrong address or something, and it's these sunglasses that allow him to have like sort of X-ray vision. And he
May
skates
I?
around and is like doing lottery tickets or whatever. But also there's like, it's like one of those where there's like you're following like 6 different little mini group stories and then they converge, and it's like it's really well done. Cannot find this movie anywhere.
I want to read you the synopsis on IMDb.
Okay.
Cityscapes takes you on a 24-hour voyeuristic journey through the bedrooms, bathrooms, bars, cars, clubs, and restaurants, and back alleys of the lives of the young and hip in postmodern Los Angeles. 10 intertwined stories follow 18 main characters as they deal with the
18.
twists and turns of everyday life in the mega metropolis. They've been off a lot.
But so what's
like
brilliant?
The
what's-
director, the writer, the screenwriter, the scriptwriter, they're just like, yeah, okay, who's the main character? No, get this. 18 main characters. Everybody's a main character. There's no sub-characters. There's no supporting characters. Everyone's a main.
But what's
What
brilliant
was your
about
character's name, Justin?
it? I didn't have a character. I was working with the production side. We were the studio that was involved in making it.
Do you have an IMDb page?
No, I don't. But I got to be in a couple of the shots. I was there in one of the bar scenes, hanging out next to Timothy Leary, who was one of my idols back in the day. So that was really cool. Who kept asking me, he's like, "So, which one or how many of these girls are you hooking up with?" I'm like, I'm not really.
Okay.
That's not my thing, Tim. But okay. Oh gosh. But it was like, so it's 18 characters, which sounds like this is going to be way too much. But all of the stories are sort of told pretty sweetly and without a whole lot of dialogue. It is very voyeuristic in a way. Some of it is just like a couple moving into an apartment is sort of a part of a thing, and you can sort of see how they're relating with how they're arranging stuff. One is it's somebody's birthday, and I don't know if you ever see them. They're like the main character. Everybody's going to this birthday party. And this is how old it is. There's a pager going grr, grr, as everybody's trying to call him, and all you see is like the Nintendo controller, He's like ignoring the birthday, and he's just no friendoing out all day. But it all converges. It's really well done. I thought it was a pretty masterful thing. But yeah, you cannot find it. I've never actually seen anything but dailies of this way back in the 90s.
So it looks like I could get you Battle Los Angeles. No. I could get you Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles.
No, I won't do it.
I could get you City of Angels.
No, it's a different movie.
Or I could get you Battle of
movie.
Los Angeles. That's what I could get you.
No, that can't be it either.
Oh man, Ad Rock was in it. Yeah.
Is that who it was? Okay, it was not. Yeah. No, it has like an amazing cast. And actually, I don't think he had dialogue. He was he was like he was part of the couple, I think, moving into an apartment for the first time together. And they were sweet, but I can't really remember what all the stories were. But they all ended up getting tied together and drawn to this one location where something goes down. But
Google says people also search for cuttin' to mustard, the size of watermelon, off the lip.
Yeah. I think there's a trailer for it.
It says it's on Amazon.
Is it on
Or
Amazon?
it says it's on Google Play also.
What's a Google Play? Is that another thing?
That's like iTunes for Microsoft-y things.
Oh, wow. Okay. Maybe I haven't looked for a while.
That's the thing. That's what I was saying, right? Like stuff that was unavailable on the internet even just a few years ago, you can
It's
find
suddenly
now.
available again.
Yeah, so I'm getting my Tick the Animated Series, so that's good.
Where to watch and see and stream? No, this is some weird. Uh-oh. Block. No survey.
Block.
Yeah, and don't talk to me about
It's
the Patrick
Legos.
Warburton version
That
of
is
the
not-
Tick, okay?
It's not
That's
on
not.
Amazon.
Schubert, no.
It wants to sell us Legos.
No, that's something
Amazon
else.
wants to sell us Legos. No. Nope, I don't think it's available. Are you really
No,
seeing
I'm
it on
not
Google
seeing
Play?
it. I'm not finding it.
I mean,
anywhere.
it just said, I found a link that said it was there, but I don't
No.
There's
here,
some.
I needed
There's
to
some.
Zazzle.
There's some video game city scrapes that I think might be Google related, but I don't think it's the movie.
Yeah, it keeps wanting to make
What
it
you need is an
cityscapes,
independent
which is-
video
Yeah.
store where you have to rent a VCR because you no longer own one. to
I don't
be
even
able to
know.
Play it.
So okay, so here's my my guess as to why, and I don't know this. My guess is that it was an art film because it was shot in black and white, and they had so many SAG union actors and actresses who were under contract and everything else who loved the idea and found out what he was in it, which, by the way, was masterful. I was in the room where it happened. The producers had this long list of people they wanted to be in the movie, and everyone they sent it to, they said, this is who's in it. So everybody, before we had anyone on board, everybody who we wanted to be in it got the list of who we wanted to be in it with the idea that they were already in it. And we just need to bring you in to finish out the cast.
Oh, no.
And so we got, I think, like 80% of the wish list. And then when we were like, so-and-so fell out, we were getting referred in people who were also like, we would not have been able to get because we didn't know anybody at all, basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. But I think
Shubru has 2 VHS players. You can borrow one of his VHS players when you
I don't
find this
even know-
movie at an independent video store.
I don't even know if it. I mean, it would have been. I guess it must have been straight to video, but I'm not even sure it made it because my theory is.
I'm sure
that-
it's on video somewhere. It has to.
My theory is that there was too much of a pushback from studios that had people under contract. Daphne Zanagas was on Melrose Place at the time. that people who wanted a cut of this thing because it was non-union, the actors weren't getting really paid hardly anything. It was like a volunteer thing. But because we weren't union and because they pretty much all were, I think that's what killed it in the end. I think there was probably lawsuits or something that nobody at the studio level that I was working at would have been able to. They couldn't. They'd have to go up to fight.
There needs to be a movie made, a documentary made about the disappearance of this movie.
Yes.
There you go.
Hollywood Cold
Interview
Case.
the people.
Cityscapes. The movie that was made and then disappeared.
Nadelva, are we talking about regrettable things we've acted in?
No, this is brilliant. This is really brilliant. I'm so surprised that this didn't become something.
I acted in some things in college. I have no idea. They are like relegated to somebody's, their dreams of being a Hollywood director in a VHS tape in their closet. I don't know.
We did this before with my TV appearance when I was on, was it called Movie Magic on Discovery Kids? And we couldn't find it.
Right? Yeah.
That was like 5 years ago. So it might exist.
Hang on. I did find Vimeo has a 3-minute trailer.
Nice.
What?
Okay, Vimeo.com/366130566.
Put it in the
You already
chat.
lost me.
Oh yeah, and the comments are like, this movie never got released. I wish I'd gotten to see it, and so I think that's why nobody's ever seen it, is because it never got released, which is too bad because it's, I thought, one of the, if not best movie ever made. All right, it's in the chat. It's in the private chat.
Kiki,
Cool.
Do you have easy access to the TWIS logo that's like the burst that's on the t-shirts?
Yeah.
Because I have 2 people in the chat room who would buy that on a sweatshirt, on a zip-up hoodie right now, and I'm trying to put that in the Zazzle store, but I don't have that.
Oh, okay. I find the things. Wonder if it's in my drive.
It's got jazz music playing. It's in black and white. Is that Beastie Boys doing music?
Awesome.
Oh, there's Max. Oh, this is too good. Wait, we got to play this. Can we play this?
We cannot play that. Nope.
It's a movie that never got released.
It'll pull
Just
the
share
video.
the link with people.
All right, I
share the link and
shared the
people
link
can
in
watch
the.
it. Yeah.
I can't do it. I don't have access to the post in the YouTube's one, folks. Sorry. You have to go over to the Freenode private chat to find it.
You're not posting it in the YouTubes? Oh, I see.
can't.
City Scrapes teaser. Who is this
But
person?
it's really too bad that we can't. It's really amazing.
Oh, here's somebody. Theo Angel says, I was the DP on this movie. So you probably know this Theo person.
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch it in a minute. Okay. Right. Okay, why are you not sharing the Vimeo link in the YouTube chat room?
I can't chat in that chat room.
Why not? I'll
Maybe
share
I
it in
can't.
all the places.
I don't
Here
have
it
a.
is.
I don't.
Here it is, everyone. Don't worry, I got you. Copy.
I found our lower thirds. Wow, that's a blast from the past.
What is... Oh, Jesus. I'm using the wrong things. Too many computers and keyboards. Y'all. There. Now I gotcha. Okay, link. There you go, Nadelva. Ooh, AI human emotion episode. Thanks, Laura. That sounds interesting. I love that. I did hear something recently. Oh, you have to... Justin can't chat without making a YouTube account. I got it. Okay. I understand now. Yeah, there was a story out recently on AI and human emotion. something recently that we did not cover on TWIS, but always interesting stuff. Okay. I am looking for... What do you need? Which starburst?
The ovular one that's on the t-shirts.
Oh, I think you're... Did your dad do that?
Did he?
Maybe.
Well, darn.
Hold on. The one that's on the front of the t-shirts, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I will find that. My drive. I have a lot of files. Yeah, I think, okay, maybe I can...
That was so funny. So I just watched the trailer.
Yeah?
And it was, I'm like, I recognize like 90% of the locations were just in and around the studio or people's houses. But it looks good. It looks really good. I cannot believe that movie does not ever get a movie.
Gorov's like, was not expecting nudity.
Oh, it was brief. Come on. It was PG-13. Nudity.
Also, enough with boobs being nudity. Give me enough.
Yeah.
Men can wander around with their shirts off, and that's not nudity. A nipple's a nipple. Chill out.
So says the biologist, the zoologist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Schuber says, Justin has worn the black logo shirt a few times, but I did not see it in the Zazzle store. No, you got to come to the live shows.
Yeah, the t-shirt that is the one that that's like this starbursty bit that's on the t-shirt is that's a different t-shirt. Yes. Yes, I need to find Bazdarich t-shirt. There we go.
But there was, if anybody who watched the trailer, that was Timothy Leary as the bathroom attendant at the club.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Blair, are we supposed to change referring to you as Bazdarich and start calling
Professional name.
Yeah, okay. I realized that we have continued to call you by the B last name, but you have
Please
a P
do.
last name.
Please use the B last name.
Okay. Good to know.
Oh, that is Adam Scott. That is Adam Scott who's in the movie.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Aha! I found it, Blair.
Yes.
Yes.
Made
Yeah,
it.
I'll send you. I'm gonna forward you this really old email.
Great, I love it.
With all the things in it. From this email from 2014.
Yay.
You know what happens to my email? People who do inbox zero? Nothing. My email stays in my inbox for almost a decade.
Yeah. I have
Just how it works.
4,137 emails in this inbox.
Mine's it's in the tens of thousands.
My
for
spammy one has just unread. Let's see.
Wait,
Ooh,
Pauly
checking.
Shore was in this movie? I do not remember Pauly Shore being in that movie.
Pauly Shore was in the movie?
Apparently he had a role in there too. Also, there's a credit that's missing that I'm not going to say, but it's Dean Cain.
Superman and Scientologist?
Is he that? He's gone off a little bit of a...
I want to
he's a
say...
little- I don't think he's a Scientologist, but I do think he's gone a little right-wingy. But, I could be. But I absolutely do not remember Pauly Shore in that. Who, I did meet on the set of Encino Man.
Now we talk about
Always
Encino
back
Man.
to Encino Man. We get it.
Uh-huh. I met Paul Rubens.
On the set of Encino Man.
No, on the set of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie. He was the master vampire. Nobody remembers?
You were in Buffy?
He was. I remember that.
I have the first interracial prom scene kiss while in a group dance scene in Encino Man. No, in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
The movie.
The movie.
Not the series.
Not the TV show. Yeah, I was in a whole bunch of random things because I was making money as human furniture back in the background of sets for a while, and then I was working in production. I was doing production stuff behind the scenes for a studio, doing production coordinator stuff, but then I wasn't getting any human. I still got some human furniture scenes actually at that time.
You would rather be human furniture than a production coordinator.
No, actually, I'd rather enjoyed being not in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Because you work a lot more.
Yes.
You work through the whole thing, not just a couple of days. You work every day, which is nice.
Yeah.
This is not as easy as I thought because the black is not transparent.
Okay. There's got to be something. Hold on. That's an old... No, I think that's the one that we've used before.
Ooh, there's this one. This is kind of cool. Here, let me screen share.
I don't think Pauly Shore was in that movie, but they're definitely missing... The IMDb is definitely missing... it's definitely missing Dean Cain because I think he went in as a fake name. I think he had to pretend to be his brother because he was under contract at ABC doing Superman, which also might have been part of what killed the release of this thing. That's why I think it might have been all legal stuff. Because I loved my producers to death. People I was working with were really awesome. But boy, they were starting at the bottom and were going to scrape, and fight their way into the industry.
Wait. Did I find it? Scratch and scrape.
One of the producers got a parking ticket, and he asked me to go find a car similar to his somewhere in the neighborhood. So I went out and did it. I was like, okay, yeah, there's another silver. Didn't take long. There's another silver Mercedes, parked 4 blocks away. Well, what's the license plate number? Went back, got it, came back. And then he crumpled up the ticket a lot and rewrote their license plate and had me go put it on their car, which I did.
No.
I thought it was funny. If it was not another Mercedes, I'm like,
right. It's a Mercedes.
This is a big jerk of a car. Or maybe it was even a BMW. It might have been worse. You might have had a silver BMW.
Oh my goodness.
It's enough of a jerk car that whoever's getting this is just like you. So deserves like. I'll absolutely be complicit in this crime.
Shoe Brew was an extra in Blues Brothers.
Whoa!
What?
Oh
my gosh! That's
as long
one of
as
my
you weren't a
favorite
cop, that was
movies
probably a fun
ever.
day. Yeah. Actually, more fun if you were a cop. Did you get to crash a cop car?
There
were so many crashed cop cars in that movie.
That's so cool.
A lot of Crown Vics went down that day. A lot of Crown Vics. You got to sing Minnie the Moocher with Cab? Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That is once in a lifetime stuff.
I know. That's awesome. Identity 4. Let's see. I wonder if Michael 45. Oh no. 4,800 unread emails. Let's see. I don't know how many. Let's see. Inbox. Oh. Yeah. Wow.
Oh,
I think there are...
Nadelva was doing a tourism video in New Zealand. They put her in a pen packed with sheep, and they stepped all over her. Or Nadelva,
What?
I think that's a female. And then they
tourism
put her
video.
on a horse. Then on a horse, and it bolted. Just barely managed to stay on. Oh my goodness.
What's happening in Blair's world? Everything okay over there, Blair? Thumbs up. Awesome. It is a nice hoodie. Blair, is that going to be a new hoodie?
If you guys like it. I just have to decide if I want to put something on the front. Here, you can see how the sausage is made a little bit.
Make it the sausage. Yeah, that's the t-shirt thing. Did you invert it?
No, this was one that looks like this.
Yeah.
So it just, because it's on a black thing, it looks kind of, there's grays in it. It looks kind of neat.
Oh, no, this is not the movie that Dean Cain was in.
But yeah, if I do this, that looks like there's like a black box. It doesn't look good.
That was another movie that didn't get released.
I do think I will put...
Make it look good.
That was a different
Nadelva
movie.
and Stephen Rain liked the hoodie that you were showing.
Dean Cain is not in City Scrapes. That was in Off Hollywood? Almost Hollywood? Which is a movie within a movie within a movie. And really, really badly made. But still, great plot. Great plot. Not the best acting. Great plot.
Oh, no.
That's the one Dean Cain had the fake cameo in.
Dogs, what are you doing? I'm in a 2-dog household at the moment.
Oh, that's right. You have 2 dogs. It's not just 1 dog, and they're having fun.
They're having fun.
They are having fun. Yeah. So I was just looking. I put the number in in the TWIS chat, but I'm looking at my Gmail, and my Gmail. And this is not even including, I still have a whole other computer with Outlook email that I had for a long time that's just in a computer now. It's archived because I don't use the computer anymore. This email, I have 164,144 messages in my inbox. And that's the everything else. The important things, important items, I have 23,744.
Jeez. I have 2,700 unread emails in my spam email right now.
Oh my god. I don't know how many unread emails I have.
Come say hi. Hi. Look at this cute dog.
Spam. Oh, I only have 715 emails in my spam.
Hi.
So that's something.
Okay. It was Almost Hollywood, where Dean Cain played Hesh, the leader of the band Hesh, but they don't put him in the credits because he couldn't be in the movie. Or no, they have Roger Kane. That's his brother. So maybe that's who they have pretending to be him. Okay. Oh, interesting. That was a very interesting movie. Great concept movie. Absolute, like, midnight movie, B-movie acting all the way through. But wonderful plot.
Okay, I think I'll go with this if everyone's on board. There's the front. There's the back.
Produced by almost
Can we see the
everyone
front?
who's in the movie. That's hilarious.
Just like on the booby one.
Yeah, the little.
The little buddy. Unless we want to put this on the front also instead. Oh, yeah. Nice yawn.
Oh.
Ow. So that's the other option, is to do this. And then... Yeah, maybe that's better, huh? Yeah, maybe that makes more sense.
What?
Or nothing on it. Nothing on the front. Splash on the front.
Oh, put something on the front.
Add-on and twist would be better, in my honest opinion. Okay, well, let's do that then. I'll just do the same thing on the front and the back. Like that.
Yeah. Bigger splash.
Okay, I'll stop screen sharing so I can actually put this.
Actually work on it. Make
Done.
It go.
Sell.
I reached a point where I was like, I can't read all the emails. I try.
Light. Hoodie. Description.
Ooh.
wear this hoodie. Buddies. How about that?
Wear this, people.
Darn it.
TWIS budgerigars.
Tags. TWIS. Science. Hoodie. That's probably it. It's rated G. It's for the public. I don't remember. Kiki, do you remember what our percentage was on the? Because I can't navigate from this away from the screen now. I'll lose my stuff. This is fine. I'm just gonna do the default. I feel like it was probably the default. Yeah. We can't move forward until you fix the errors below. Okay, sure.
No errors. No errors.
Oh, you have 24 hours to finalize your percentage. That's nice. I like that. Thanks, Zazzle. I'm going to put a bunch of new art in here now also since the calendars are out. I usually wait till the calendars are out to put art on things.
The next calendars?
Last year's calendars.
Yeah.
I wait, yeah.
Okay, Justin, remember how we used to have the Weird from Washington?
Yeah.
With Michael?
Yeah, Michael was awesome.
So
and then he got a job in Washington.
Yes, working at the OSTP with
doing
Obama
real serious stuff.
Yeah, before the last 4 years happened, he worked there for 8 years. What, 4 years?
You didn't like the last 4 years of Obama?
Nope, that's not what I said.
And then we transitioned into his vice president becoming the president? Is this what
the transition, yes. So I just talked with him last week, and he is still moving and shaking in Washington. And
nice.
Yeah, he said he's doing he's working on trying to get like a DARPA for health started. And he was pushing it through the Obama years, and it never got picked up. And then Trump didn't pick it up, but Biden might be. So
perfect, because I haven't been getting my deep state marching orders for a few years now. Oh wait, are we still live? Oh shoot, I just gave up.
The deep state.
Yeah, apparently that was that myth obviously didn't pan out pretty quickly. It's like, yeah, no, it's just a handful of people who were experts at what they did, helping steer the nation.
Just
not a whole lot of.
And you know what? That's happening again. People who know what they're doing, helping to steer the nation.
Such an interesting criteria.
So excited. So good. Yeah. But yeah, so Mike is doing great.
Awesome.
He's still doing his moving and shaking and health
I miss that guy. I mean, we definitely could have used him the last 4 years, but then what was there to add?
Everything was weird.
What was there to add to it?
Yeah.
At that point, I had a bunch of inside information, some real things to watch out for, but then they said the quiet thing out loud, and it's just there's no point.
We'll see. Let's say the loud things out loud. What?
Oh my god, I have to screen share what I just found.
Okay, I want to see.
All right, Henrik, if you're looking for me in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, I think you have to go all the way to the prom scene at the very end, and near the center of there, with a little bit longer front hair than I have now, and a big poomph, and a brown corduroy jacket, dancing with my girlfriend because of that job, and for a little while after.
What? What's going on?
I'm somewhere near the middle of that, but you really got to be quick to catch the. And I think I do sneak her a kiss while it's being shot, as I recall. Could be a false memory, but I pretty much remember that.
Could be a false memory. Could be something that was implanted by a Bill Gates microchip. You don't know.
I do.
Because you're like 5G implanted now, dude.
Yeah, but that sounds bad, but the download speed is pretty amazing.
That's right. It's true. Mm-hmm. The upside is just crazy.
The upload speed's not bad either. So,
buddies, look at this.
What you got? Oh, I gotta share. What are you making? Twist pants? Are you kidding? Oh my God.
Yeah.
What?
Or
what design is that? Is it the turtle?
No, that was the
Nope. No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's too much. No.
Oh, that looks really awesome, actually. It just does look like an interesting plaid pattern until you would get up close enough.
Oh my God.
And then you're being reminded you should not be. If you're close enough to read this, you're too close. Back up, buddy. Yeah, too close.
Oh my God. You're gonna make us pants. I need pants, Blair. This is great.
Need some work from home leggings.
Stephen Rain says TWIS underwear now. Yup.
Yeah, the eye has to be lined up with the crack. I totally agree.
I know. I feel like the placement around the crotch is like they didn't think it through.
They didn't think it through?
Yeah. I was like, oh, hi, Sadie.
Hi, Sadie. Hey, Sadie. Your mom's gonna make pants. We like that.
Delva, I want to see your. I want to jump into your dream where you were speed dating, but had to be as Dadaist as possible. That sounds like actually that could work.
What are you talking about?
Oh God.
Dadaist dreams. That's all. What were you talking about?
What? How about our faces?
No.
I like the fact that I'm pointing though. Like if you made that like a leg patch, like a leg pocket patch, you just got to move it over so that I'm pointing at the crotch.
Oh my God.
Yes. Oh my God.
Look over there.
This poor model. I'm sorry, dude. Oh, this is really good. Ooh, how about this one? All of Kiki's faces.
Oh my God.
The many faces of Kiki.
On your pants.
On your pants.
Twist pants.
Or
you need some twist pants.
How would we react if a fan showed up wearing the underwear
Blair.
to greet us?
No, just on the
Wow.
leg.
Okay.
Kiki looks a lot taller in that picture.
Oh, just up the side. Oh, I like just up the side of the leg. Wait. I need the other side. Come on. There we go.
I think it has to be rotated though, right? Like it has to
I think
be.
so too. Yeah. Yep.
And I think smaller.
I think it has to be on both sides.
No, one side. One
That's
side.
That's probably right. You're right.
And then there's no colors. They're just white. You can't have white workout pants. That's insane. Oh, can I?
Hello, would you like some see-through workout pants?
Let's see. What can I do?
Would you like to see what color my sweat stains?
Oh, I think I can do. Oh yeah, background. Aha!
Thank you for catching jokes, Clark.
No.
That's very. It's a nice setup, though. You had your perfect setup there.
I like this idea actually.
Orange pants.
Orange pants. Front waist. Waist.
Like boxer
Black.
shorts?
Black.
Let's just say TWIS instead of Everlast.
Actually, I might put these in the store. I kind of think this is kind of fun.
That looks like you're building a Star Wars outfit or something.
I like that. Turn it the other side. Yes. There.
Higher up the leg, I think.
Yeah, a little higher up the leg. That's good. Not rated G TWIS icon.
Since when has this show been rated G anyway? Is the show rated G? Are we
That's
G rated?
Too high, maybe now.
Is it?
I don't know.
I think it's good.
I think if you want it to be prominently displayed, you should put it across the buttocks.
We're not.
Kinda-
We're,
what
we're
are
not
those-
selling juicy leggings? We're not
Juicy.
doing
That's
that.
what I was thinking. I was like, oh, what are those pants? Juicy pants.
Right.
Or should it be? Should I put on the left instead? I have pants from my sorority that are on the logo's on the left.
Does it matter?
I don't know. But like, look at it now.
That's what they're showing off.
Oh, but now it's like the wrong way. It should be like this.
Now
this
it
is-
has to go.
If any of you are wondering how I spend my time, this is this is a good rubric. I think it was better originally. There we go.
Yep. And then rotate it.
Yeah.
Rotate it. There we go.
I kind of want these, man. These are fun.
They are fun. I need all the
Just put a
leggings I can
toad on the
get.
butt
I'm not leaving the
and-
house still. Come on. I still don't leave the house. I need basement
Is this placement
clothes.
good? You think that's good, or should we go further down? What is the
No,
checklist?
I wouldn't put them further down. Would you?
Adam on the knee is cool. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, either on the knee or just slightly up from the knee, but just right, yeah. Right there. That's good.
Okay. Sell it. Okay.
Sell it.
Stop. Okay.
We're going to sell pants.
You know, why not? I like that there's no penalty for putting something in your store that nobody buys. I appreciate that. Description. Wear these leggings.
They penalize you for not adding things to the store. I got a message a
Really?
while back because we hadn't added anything new to the store, and
Jeez.
I was told that we had to, and then you did, and it was fine. But the
Leggings.
Adam on the knee
Twist.
was cool.
Orange.
The left is cool because people across the street can read it. What?
Rated G.
I think people can figure out letters. One or the other. Turn your head.
Oh, we can't move forward till you fix the errors below. What errors? Oh, I have the right to sell this product. That's what I forgot.
You do. You do have the right.
Something went wrong. What the hell? Let's try it again. After
Noodles
all
says
that.
there's no size L for the hoodie. There should be a size L.
There definitely should. Are they out? Oh, okay, it worked. Here's the leggings.
See-through yoga pants would really sell twists. Oh my goodness.
No.
No.
There's no size L.
Or extra large. No large or extra large, they're saying. They're sold out.
Oh, they're sold out. Yeah.
I do have to say, if they get the stock in for the sweatshirts, they're nice. They're good springtime sweatshirts. They're not thick. But they're just nice. I really like mine.
They have all the sizes. Here, I'll screen share again. I'm sorry, I keep making you have to do this.
Screen
Just if I get my own StreamYard account, will you be able to like make me a host and then I can do things or no?
Yeah, no. So you have to log in with my account. Oh, that's
okay.
cute. There you go.
So they have larges in if you change the
in
color.
the gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just a different color.
Yeah. If you don't mind
Oh,
the
that's
gray.
cute.
Yeah. But yeah, the black they only have. In high demand.
Do they have blue? I like the navy blue. Navy
Yeah, they
blue.
have them all.
Navy blue. Highly recommend.
Oh, Sadie. My headphones. Come on, dude. There you go. Okay. I was looking to see also hoodie. Hoodie.
It's a cute white hoodie. Kind of like that black on white.
There's also a ladies zip.
There you go. Oh my god, I'm just gonna have all my whole new sweatshirt collection will just be This Week in Science sweatshirts.
Oh, also out of a bunch of stuff.
Darn it. Because they're awesome.
They'll probably get more.
HNEK, yes. Selling TWIS with their butts. That's right.
Look at this giant dog.
Yeah, I think
behind
they are upping the quality of their products, which is good. I think they came across the fact that other outlets were competition, and so they had to start making things nicer because they weren't for a while, and I was thinking about changing, and they seem to be doing pretty well with their products right now. It's good.
Oh, any tie-dye clothing. Well, I mean, I tie-dye clothing all the time, but not in the Zazzle store.
No tie-dye clothing. No.
Why?
I don't like tie-dye.
I love tie-dye.
It's like tie-dye is like the gateway drug to reggae.
No.
Wait,
Also, what's wrong with reggae?
what? Hang on. Did I rope Eli into playing or doing something on this movie?
What?
Oh my goodness.
What?
That can't be right.
What are you talking about?
A very good friend of mine who's won, I think he won like one of the, what is it? Oscars for the independent, for the documentary filmmaking. He's in the credits for this really crappy movie that the same studio produced as a second assistant camera. What? Something crazy. He's got a credit and I don't, and I was a production coordinator on this. Oh no, I'm there. I'm there as additional crew assistant to the producers. Okay, I am on there.
There you go.
Check
all the things. Ooh,
I do have it. Oh, so if I click on my IMDb,
Blair, look for
that's
Hawaiian
the
shirts.
only credit that I have.
Oh, on Zazzle?
Yeah. Oh,
Known
so you
for
do have an
additional crew.
IMDb.
I do.
Awesome.
Except it only has that one and not the other thing.
Not Encino Man.
And no, it doesn't have. You don't get IMDb credits for being extras in movies, unfortunately.
You don't get IMDb credits for being in Encino
But
Man.
I had no idea that I somehow roped Eli into being part of this. Oh, which I'm sure he needs buried. I should not be mentioning his name with this film. It's really bad. There's parts of it that I think now, under the lens of today, are I think there's somebody in blackface pretending to be Indian. It's very bad. But I did have a nice scene in this, which caused a little bit of a stir. We're shooting guerrilla. Again, this production company didn't have permits for anything. We're shooting on Hollywood Boulevard with the Walk of Stars. And there's a scene where these two guys are talking about a movie or something about the movie business. And they're walking along. And we had to keep, jump in the van, drive around to take a next cut, jump out, film it, jump in the van, drive around again, because we just had to be lucky. And in between the shots, my scene was I'm laying down. As they walk along, they're like, yeah, this city's really ruthless. It's heartless. It's really starting to get to me. And he flicks a cigarette and it goes out in a pile of puke next to this homeless person who's lying on the walk. Who's me.
Oh, no.
Who's me. And it was like some cream of mushroom soup or something that we poured out. And I'm there with this paper bag clutched up, looking all haggard. But between the shots, they'd walk down, do the shot, then get in the van, go around the block real quick, and then do it again. Because no permits, you had to do it kind of guerrilla style. Meanwhile, I just stayed in character. I'm just still laying out on the Walk of Stars, the Walk of Fame there, just chilling out on the ground, and concerned people are coming up to me. Oh my God, are you okay? Do you need help, sir? Are you all right? I'm like, oh, we're shooting a movie. I'm sorry. Everything's fine. I'm acting right now. Oh my God, really? Like, is anything real in this town? Like, no, all the homeless people are just in a scene right now. It's just, yeah, there's going to be a film crew. If you could just keep going, because we got to clear the street before they shoot again. Okay, yeah, no problem. Wow, Hollywood is everywhere. Yeah. And then they come around and shoot again.
I don't see Hawaiian shirts. What did you see?
Somebody was asking if there were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Hollywood Boulevard is always packed. So we were on, I think we were on Vine. We were on one of the intersecting streets, but it's right off the main boulevard, so it was a lot less trafficked. But it still had the stars on the sidewalk, so it was enough that we needed for the shot. But that's another movie I don't think that was straight to international video. It wasn't even straight to video domestically. It went to like straight to video in Japan and like North Korea. And that was it. Like, nobody else. I think we might have been big in Czechoslovakia. I don't know. We didn't go many places though.
Oh, people are misspelling my name.
Where?
On IMDb.
But that movie was so bad that and you can tell a movie's bad when all of the producers of the movie are in the movie.
Huh.
They all had a title character somewhere in that movie. Which actually, amazingly, one of the producers who was like from Minnesota or something, who I don't know how they roped this poor person into like giving money to make the film, actually did a good job. They were like one of the better performances, I thought. When you were shooting it, it didn't look. It was like awkward because this person isn't acting at all. But then when you watch it, it's like actually they're the only legit character in this whole thing. They actually seem to be having honest reactions, whereas everybody else is really like, I'm acting in a bad movie, so I'm going to keep acting in a bad movie because that's what I'm doing. I'm in a bad movie. I'm going to overact because I'm in a bad movie. Which actually the main character was some sort of New Yorker who moved to Hollywood and was going to break into the business. But then it was... Or were they a detective? I can't remember. It was a murder thing that was happening on the set of a movie. People were getting murdered. And at the end, you find out that's all been a movie. But then there's another movie after that gets revealed, pulled away from. It's very... movie within a movie within a movie. Again, great concept. That one's execution. And poor Eli. I had no idea he got roped into being part of this movie.
IMDb does not know how to spell my name.
Aww.
Stanford. All over the place. Meh.
But it does have one of the best lines, too.
Yeah?
It has some of the great lines from... Okay, 3 words about hookers in movies. Julia Roberts, Pretty Woman, $100 million. But this is just a hooker. Yeah, but I still get my 10%.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, everything about that movie was wrong. But in retrospect, actually very point on about what was going on in Hollywood these days, if you catch my drift. It was very Harvey Weinstein-y.
Very much.
Almost celebrating it, but still.
It was celebrating it. There was a lot of that in Hollywood.
There was a lot of reveal in that as well, if you look at it from the right perspective.
Just look at it from the right perspective. I need to go to bed. I'm doing a conference this week.
I'm sharing one more thing.
I have to go run things. Blue and orange is good. Black and orange is too Halloween. Yes. Okay. Share. Kiwi. What are you doing with the kiwi?
Oh, just...
Just making a tank top.
Just making a tank top.
Oh, that's awesome. That's super fun. Where's our TWIS underwear?
Gray. Like that gray. Maybe like a green. I don't know.
Thank you, Shubru, for just adding in those extra letters, first and last name. That was good.
There we go. What do you think?
Ooh.
Is that fun?
Yeah, that's cute. It is fun. I love it.
Should I try to tile them here too?
No, I like it. Yeah.
Is that color good?
Yes.
The colorblind girl asked.
You did a good job. I like it.
Okay. All right.
In the pictures
like,
that
what
I'm
is
looking
that,
at,
poops?
it looks good.
Do you have poops on your shirt?
No poops. No poops on the shirts. Oh, yes. Thank you. Should I wonder if we can IMDb TWIS.
Please.
How do we submit TWIS to IMDb?
I'm begging someone to make me a Wikipedia page because I've been on like 6 different podcasts.
No. Yes,
and I've been quoted in like 4 different newspapers. Like, please, just give me a Wikipedia page.
You got to make your own.
I don't think you can anymore. I think you have to be like an approved Wikipedia author now.
Yeah.
Well, I have one, or there's one in my name. I will guarantee.
They're trying to stop fake news.
But it won't be me. Justin Jackson, basketball. Justin Jackson, American football.
Yes.
Justin Jackson, English footballer.
Only
Justin
say
Jackson,
mostly harmless.
Canadian professional basketball player. Justin Jackson, another basketball player. Justin Jackson, another footballer. Justin Jackson. We're all the Justin Jacksons are good at sports, apparently.
Yep.
All but me.
All of them except you. Yeah. So, yes. So I'm doing a conference this week. When I say doing a conference, I mean I'm running the conference. So I'm going to go make sure things aren't broken early tomorrow morning. Because it's a virtual conference. Whee! And yeah, I've been working since 7 a.m. this morning. So yeah. Save for a couple of breaks. So I think I've had a long work day, and I think I'm ready to go to sleep, or at least read a book until I can convince myself that it's time to sleep, and then try to be awake tomorrow and have energy, and yeah, it'll be good.
By the way, our Wikipedia page for This Week in Science
needs help. It's pretty outdated.
Guests.
Probably old,
We've had 6 guests on the show.
We need a Wikipedia editor to edit our Wikipedia page, don't we?
Identity 4 says he'll make me one that says mostly harmless.
Yeah, and that's all
I want that to be. That's mine. I want mostly harmless.
No, it's lies for both of you.
All right, then mine should say harmless. I can be the original.
Identity 4, it is bedtime now.
What is most? Oh wait, let's ask Blair. What's mostly harmless mean?
I don't know.
It's the entry for Earth, the updated entry for Earth by Ford Prefect, and the Encyclopedia Galactica.
Oh,
if you don't know that, you don't deserve the titles. All I'm saying. The original was harmless.
Mostly harmless. Yipes.
And it got updated to mostly harmless.
So I read a history thing recently about history of science communication. And in case you didn't know, science communication, before it was called science communication, was called science vulgarization.
Wait, what? Wait, what are you saying? Sorry.
It was called science vulgarization.
What was? I missed what we're
science communication. Instead of, it was called science vulgarization.
Vulgarization.
Making science
Vulgar enough to
palatable
be understood
for the
by
the
masses.
vulgar class. Yes. It was making it
if you
vulgar.
come right out and say it like that, then yeah, we're talking dirty to you every chance.
That's right. TWIS is so vulgar.
Talking dirty
So full
science
of
talk.
Vulgarizations.
What are those numbers?
My
976.
favorite.
Talk science to me.
That's right. Yeah, I think we either have to change TWIS's name or I need to start a new show that would run in parallel. A different show.
Different show?
La Science Vulgaire.
I have this desire to do a show
The
called
vulgar
Why Do You
science.
Think That? And then, like, you could go off the list of all the different things.
Anything?
That, yeah, pretty much.
Anything.
Like, yeah,
No,
why do you think that?
Why do you think that? That's actually really good, Justin.
No, it would be a blast.
It would be.
Yeah.
Well, that's like that one night in a hotel room when Kiki and I came up with a new podcast. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
What was it?
Called Well, Actually.
Well, actually.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. I love it. I love it. Why do you think
We had
that?
a whole
Question
plan.
mark. Well, actually, ...
Well,
Like, combine those two ideas and you have the essence of... Okay, I understand that there's a belief out there. We could go, like, right to the whole thing, like, red states tends to be where, like, the we're against the welfare state, which I understand because in your states, federal welfare recipients probably receive about the same amount as people who work full time because you are massively underpaid working full time in your state. In California, it's not that much. You don't get that much from unemployment compared to somebody who's working, so it doesn't seem like a great thing to be on. And that way we're not against it. And by the way, your entire state is a welfare state. Your entire state pays less taxes than it receives versus those blue states, which you're always saying are getting bailouts, but it's their money because they put it all in the first place, and you didn't. Like, going through, like, breaking down what the reality of whatever it is, I think would be so much fun. So much fun.
Break it down.
Yep.
Break it down.
Break it down.
The
The gun control one at the beginning of the show, again, is a perfect example. I almost always hear the same tropes come out of people who have never, like, Googled it even, let alone, like, found a paper anything that substantiates their point of view. But it's a thing that they hear repeated over and over again. And there's also something interesting about the union story, which is it's actually illegal since, like, the 1930s. Illegal for an employer to pressure somebody out of wanting to start a union or out of joining a union.
Oh,
That's
really?
illegal. However, you're allowed to have espouse views of policy against unions. And so what's happened is
That's
so much of media is constantly deriding unions. How is that not basically intimidating people from wanting to join the unions? If you have, like, millions of hours of anti-union rhetoric floating around with no facts to back them up, I don't know. Everything needs changes. I was watching this really crazy thing. Housing is I think is the most important issue facing America when it comes down to it. That's why I don't think that raising the minimum wage really matters, because they will just take it from those poor people in the form of rent, because those people are renting.
Yep.
But
I think
it was
housing
brought up,
is the most important. Yeah.
But the thing the line that I heard was, like, nobody who is a landlord is a housing specialist in America. No, that's right. They're business people. They're trying to make the most amount of money. There's nobody anywhere in America really, HUD, please stop, who's really, like, there to provide housing or interested in providing housing. To the point where we actually have a glut of housing for the high end, but nobody's building nearly enough for the low end. In fact, if you take everybody and house them, you'll be, like, almost 2 to 3 people per one bedroom at this point. There's not enough housing to house all of the poor people to have a 1-bedroom apartment to themselves, even. And they can't afford it on the minimum wage, but that doesn't matter because it's the housing costs that's so prohibitive. But we could compare it to so many other countries. Do you know that China has a 90% home ownership rate? 87% of new homes bought in China today are second or third homes.
That's crazy.
That's upsetting.
They have 1 billion people, and they figured out the government is just going to build housing everywhere and then let people buy it for affordable prices so that everyone has a place to live to launch their economy from. It's
what
a
an
very
interesting idea. It's almost as if wealth trickles up instead of down.
Well, it's not even necessarily trickling up or trickling down, but to have a stable, healthy, efficient workforce, people need the basic thing of housing.
Yep.
Period.
You need to have stability. You need to be able to, you need to have an address. You need to be contacted at that address. You need to have, you need to have a roof over your head so you have a place to get away from the weather so that you can stay healthy, so that you can, there are all the things.
Yes.
All the things. And it's not just a house where everybody lives or a room where you have 17 people in one room either, because that's not healthy at all. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and European Union countries, first world countries, housing is a thing that is supplemented by the government in an effort to keep people housed. Most of those countries have laws in place to prevent commoditization, over commoditization at least, of housing. Whereas in this country, we have nothing. I mean, there's nothing that prevent China from coming and buying houses and renting them to people. There's hedge funds and mutual funds that we have in Wall Street that are purely designed to buy houses and rent them to people. And not apartment buildings, not big apartment buildings where they're going to have an obvious renter situation. But they now have been moving into, since the housing collapse, buying up single family homes and renting them out. Especially California. Do you know why California? Because we have a property tax law that is based on the value at which you bought the home. It stays there. So
I need to go to bed.
Okay, but why that's attractive is they bought all these houses during the collapse, and the companies can sell the entire list of 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 homes that they own in California. And those homes technically didn't sell, just the company that owns them sold.
Yeah.
So the property taxes, because it never sells, never changes. It's such a scam. It needs to be taken care of. Anyway, but that's for a different show. Actually. Anyway, go to bed. All right. Say goodnight, Blair. Say goodnight, Blair.
Say goodnight, Justin.
Good night, Justin. Good night, Kiki.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of TWIS. Can't wait until our show next week. It was a good conversation. Good clothing development by Blair while we were doing this. Good insight by Justin into economic matters. Thank you so much. I'm tired. I'm going to have things. I hope you all get some good rest or have a good day wherever you are. We'll see you later. Thank you.